Welcome to Eagles Kickoff Live. I'm Gail Saunders here with the gents in the final level of the reality show. The beast is about to be unleashed on y'all. We thought we had a nice, easygoing, close it out type of game. Just wrap up the pick. Just do what you do. The season has been ass. It's been a two-pack of ass. And then we get hit with this story about again, we heard this story drop from Adam Schefter, but when more report coming in heavy here. Eagles Carson Wentz apparently still plans to ask for a trade in the offseason because his relationship with head coach Doug Peterson is fractured beyond repair for Chris Mortensen. I feel like that's a way to set off your morning. You drink your morning coffee, you think everything's going great. Family's good. I just ate my breakfast. I'm feeling great. And here we get hit drop with some more news. I'm on the phone for about 3 hours, talking people off the ledge. And here we are. How you guys doing?
Dude, I'm hanging in. This is not exactly what we were planning at all. I mean, we knew that we were going to kind of be dying a silent sort of death in this NFC East, as we knew that this game really didn't mean anything. Yet, here we are. On game day. Game day on Sunday just seems to have that way about it where news ends up leaking out. Schefter has really had our number the past few weeks with stories that have just been coming out on game day. And these have been some bombshells, man, some absolute bombshells. We have been talking about, and it almost feels silly right now, some of the conversations we had about next season and Carson Wentz being, a $30 million backup. I mean, that was kind of somewhat of a pipe dream. And now the reality is that it seems like that's not going to happen. Carson Wentz isn't going to be in the building. Soko's wearing that number 11 for potentially the last time. And I think that there's a lot of that going around on this team. I think that Carson Wentz isn't the only guy that could be getting a send-off today. I think the list is long when you look at all of the cap problems that we're facing. So, I wish the best to everybody. And Jesus Christ, man, we're trying to have a silent end to our season. And here we are, just complete chaos, as per usual.
Yeah, dude. Soko and Mally, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, so I'm kind of at the same point that Evan's at. I'm just kind of trying to ride out my Sunday, hoping that we can have a quiet Sunday, lock up this 4 or 5 pick, whatever it may be, and here it is with Chris Mortensen dropping on us that Carson Wentz is going to request a trade. And man, I'm kind of shell-shocked. I expected Wentz to come into camp and, fight for that QB1 spot over Jalen Hurts. Ultimately, I think he's a better quarterback, but, it doesn't really matter what I think. If he wants out of here, that's what's going to happen. He is ultimately going to help facilitate a trade, like Mort said, and he is no longer going to be of the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm a little shocked. I don't think he's the only one that's going to be gone throughout the duration of this offseason. But again, I thought Carson Wentz was our guy going into the future, and sure enough, he is not.
Look at Mally's face.
Yeah, it's just a bizarre turn, man. I mean, we went from not thinking that we were going to have a season to now we don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be here. Zach Ertz might be getting a divorce from here. Kelsey might be retiring. And like Alshon's probably gone. Deshaun's probably gone. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's a weird gray area as an Eagles fan because like you want to be excited for Hurts, but you're also not only losing Carson, you're potentially going to have a $33 million dead cap hit, and we're already 70 in dead cap. And there's not a lot to look forward to. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And then you're like, all right, well, the draft's here. Well, Howie hasn't been that good at drafting lately. And you know that John Dorsey is in the building, so you're hoping that he maybe gets a little bit more say. I mean, it's a weird time to be an Eagles fan. I mean, you're versing an NFC East rival tonight, and you don't know how to feel about the game because, like, personally, I mean, I think that we're going to see a little bit of Nate Sudfeld, quarterback factory worker number 3. So, I mean, buckle up. Let's see what happens tonight.
Jimmy. Yeah, no doubt. Gail hit the nail on the head with, what he said, starting my day off right, just trying to enjoy things. Like, all right, I'm going to watch some young play. Boom! In my face. Carson Wentz, once again, here we are. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And, I am with Soko in the thinking that there would be a quarterback competition. I've said that on this show that I thought that would be the outcome. But look, there's a lot of smoke, as someone just said here. And, the one thing I said a couple weeks ago was if the disconnect is between Carson and Doug, then we have a major.
We do have a major problem.
Damn, we left them back in 2020.
It's his internet connection. That's the problem.
If I'm going to follow up on Jimmy's, you do have a major problem. I feel like there's a disconnect between Howie and Doug. I feel like there's a disconnect between Jimmy and his Wi-Fi. But Jimmy's here. What's up, man? How you feeling?
I was just about to say it's like really, really bad today. So it's going to keep doing it to me, I feel. I was going to say, look at the disconnect there. Great stuff. Anyways, the Eagles, we have a major problem and we're in a rebuild mode now. So this is pretty bad. But like we said, Howie and Doug are going to come back. So luckily John Dorsey's here. Maybe with the meeting on Tuesday, we get to hear, Doug gets put in his place by Jeffrey. But Eagles do what needs to be done. Cowboys not in the playoffs. Cowboys suck. Goers.
First of all, we've been hinting at a lot of this stuff for the last 8 weeks to talk about this reality show rearing its ugly head. And we're talking about the final stages of perhaps moving on from a franchise quarterback, if that's the case. There's a lot of smoke. A guy like Mort doesn't just put stuff out there. I talked to Mort at Canton, and he told me something on the slide, and it was just like, that's just between me. Like that, he doesn't do that kind of stuff. For a story this big, for Mort to just put it out there, he's not just putting it out there for a reason. We're talking about the two biggest names in NFL breaking news. Some of them, Mort and Ian Rappaport, and Mort's a old school legend in the game, so he's been there, done that. I feel like it's just hard to see as an Eagle fan reading that and feeling that those vibes when he was drafted. And you're like, he's the guy. And some people on the timeline are kind of like, I don't want to believe this. I don't believe this report over here. They backtracked last week. Stuff we're hearing, and it's matching up with what we're seeing, and that's the part where you're just like, man, it's really coming to its head. And I feel like it is what it is. We got to sit here and take it. All these changes that we want to happen, you're hoping that the wrong people don't stay. Now, some people are directly pointing their fingers at Howie Roseman at this point. Some people are directly pointing their fingers at Doug Peterson at this point. You can look at the quarterback situation, but at the end of the day, who's the chef? Who's putting this whole thing together? Who's picking the ingredients, making it taste good or not taste good? Sometimes Doug is just the waiter here and explaining the menu here and trying to make it work. They
don't have an Alex in the building.
What's that?
They don't have an Alex in the building.
I was literally going to say the same thing.
They don't have an Alex in the building, but
they just got waiters.
The proof is in the pudding right now because it tastes bad, it smells bad, and it's rotten to the core. And you got to place blame on Howie right now.
Yeah,
tastes like it smells.
And I think that we were all just as shocked as anybody when we found out that it seems like Howie Roseman is going to be staying and Doug Peterson is looking like he's going to be staying this next year as well. I think everybody in their minds had this kind of the opposite. I think everybody was thinking about Howie and Doug walking at the end of the season, and then we're moving on with Carson Wentz and a different head coaching staff. But the world has been flipped upside down, and we now are in a position where we're going to be rooting for Doug Peterson next season. All this shit talking we've been doing all year. We want a good season out of the Eagles next year. And it's looking like Doug Peterson's going to be the guy that is going to be in charge of this team. I'm praying that they're putting some pieces around Doug Peterson. I think they definitely will be. I'm interested to see what the outcome of this meeting will be. Yeah, on Tuesday, just in discussion about how they're going to move forward with Doug Peterson. I'm thinking that obviously an offensive coordinator needs to be brought in. That's what the discussion is going to be, right?
That's what I was kind of trying to allude to. Sorry, I keep getting kicked off, but that's exactly right. I don't think that this is just, Doug's staying, Howie's staying. some changes need to be made. And if they're talking about trading away the guy that just paid $127 million, they're willing to do things. And I think, the reality is John Dorsey was brought here for a reason. And I think Doug needs to be put in his place. Like, look, man, you have too much on your plate right now. Yep. And we all see it. We've been talking about the changes that need to be made. It's not just going to be fixed with a quarterback. So I don't even know if Jalen Hurts is the answer. Watch these little clowns go after another quarterback, and then I'm going to choke slam Howie through a table. But we'll see if somebody's in there, a football-minded guy that can help build this team right, man. I'd love that.
And that's the position that I think that that Carson Wentz is kind of putting us in with this story coming out. And I'm also curious as to how long this has been festering inside of his brain. How long has he been thinking about this trade? And like, was it as soon as Jalen Hurts got named the starter? Was it when he got taken out of that game halfway through? How long has he been thinking about requesting a trade from this team? And now with him doing so, he's put us in a position where now we're not making the decision between Jalen and Carson. We're making a decision between if Jalen Hurts is our guy or if we need to draft another guy or bring another guy in, which is a completely different conversation.
Drafting the quarterback, huh?
It's possible.
Zach Wilson. I mean, oh my God.
I mean, my thing is like, there's quarterbacks up there to be had. I mean, you could move down and get more draft capital. If the way that we're moving, I mean, this is how we're moving, and it's crazy to think that way. But if Howie's here, and Richard is Lurie really scared of Howie? Is that what he said? Yeah, is Lurie really scared of Howie? I mean, I think it's the fact of look at Lurie in his situation. Who's the only guy that's been next to him since 2000, riding with him? It's his right-hand man, and Howie. Who does he have? He has Howie's ear. So whatever he needs to say, whatever guy he needs to pull in, whatever pick he practically wants to bring in, he can do it through Howie. Yep. So we don't know some of these players that have been brought in or drafted. Could have been a little, like that's the problem that we don't even really know. But what we do know is that Howie's still here for a reason. And if you can see all the mismanagement of draft capital, mismanagement of some of these trades, the fact that we haven't hit on a lot of these players that we needed to hit on in Carson Wentz rookie contract window, that's all on Howie. And it all points to Howie. And if he's still here, what does that tell you? So now if that little thing that leaked out about John Dorsey in the building, that's trying to show you that, hey, we're trying to teach Howie the right way. We're guiding him. He's finding the Lord. And John Dorsey, the Lord of the draft, if you can get John Dorsey in here and guiding him on the draft, this could be.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't. It's no hassle. But all I'm saying, they're gonna get I'm just. Knock. Who's there? Look, let me tell you a little story about a man named Even before you start, that was a preemptive Just know I have a whole bag of with your name on it.
So if we need to get rid of Howie as the football voice in any reason, that is a win in my book. That is a win. If that the final say is gone to a football guy, that's where we need to be. That's the most important person for us moving forward is getting a football guy, picking the right players. Because we need it. And if we get extra draft capital, this is where we're at. Ertz is potentially last game here to be moved on.
Do we talk about Howie like he's the only guy capable of making moves, though? Like he's the only guy capable of restructuring contracts and getting players in here? Because I just feel like we're so Jeffrey Lurie, I'm speaking of in particular. Jeffrey Lurie seems so attached to Howie Roseman. I just don't know. Obviously, there's some nostalgia that sticks around. You win a Super Bowl together. That kind of bond is formed, and it's hard to break that sort of thing. But just look at, you talked about, he's been here since 2000. He's been here for 2 decades, man. And we've got one Super Bowl to speak of it, and we've got a team that is just crashing and burning right now. I think that we just need to look beyond this. I said on the last show, if we bring Howie Roseman back, I'm on the record right now saying it's not going to work. I don't think Howie Roseman back in any capacity is what's good for this team. I agree that it is a plus to have John Dorsey in the building, helping him decide who to draft. But ultimately, having Howie Roseman in the building isn't good for the team, and that's where I stand with it.
Yeah, I think the main issue, and Ev, I agree with you, is that Howie Roseman came in as like an intern in 2000. He's been here. He's outlasted guys like Louis Riddick, who Louis Riddick is irate with Howie Roseman. He
Right.
still appreciated him. They got into confrontations back when he was here. He left. He outlasted Chip Kelly even after he got thrown in the bathroom, and he came back. And I think the whole thing is that Laurie and Roseman like had an agreement. It's like, listen, dude, like you're gonna get put in a position of power. Chip's gone. He goes, this is all on you. What happened? He ended up winning a Super Bowl, and that made everything else go away. But like, look at all the things that Howie Roseman has done wrong. I mean, look at all the terrible picks, and like I understand like the Super Bowl. It really like for me, I personally am like okay, like 27 and on. And 2017 and on is like where I like really harshly judge. Right there, you can harshly judge Howie. Before then, you can harshly judge Howie. I mean, it just shows you like the Super Bowl. It like clouds some fans. Like it's gonna cloud the owner of the team who looks at him almost as a son. I mean, if you look at it, like Gail was alluding to, you only have a short window of time to capitalize on Wentz being on a rookie deal and being in his prime. And they literally did the opposite of it. They brought another quarterback.
Yep.
Like, and everyone's like, oh, well, like he made moves and attempted to do stuff. It's like, yeah, but like, were they the right moves? And like, he did everything he did went away from, okay, like this is the obvious thing. Like JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he was a reach. Everyone knew that. He took Davion Taylor. He was a reach. Everyone knew that. I still believe that Jalen Reagor can be a productive player on this team, but Justin Jefferson was 100+ national champion caliber wide receiver who's from pedigree. Like both his brothers went to LSU. Like you knew what you're getting. I just feel like it was one of those. It's just constant overcorrections. And the thing that annoys me of Howie is we never draft for someone who's supposed to be surefire, ready to go, or in a position of need immediately. I mean, we took Dillard when we already had a complete line. We took Goddard when we already had Ertz, even though that's fine with me. But we do it all the time. I mean, we took Wentz when we already.
Jones?
Yeah, Sidney Jones, like weren't even planning for him to be there. It's just, and then they didn't take DK because they were scared about what happened with Sidney. I mean, it's just a lot of malpractice on Howie's end, and it's frustrating because it's like, yeah, thank you for the Super Bowl, but at the same time, it's just like it's almost like he lucked into it. Like everything had to go right. Like even with all the, I mean, he made the right decisions, but it was just one of those things where like. We literally were just destined to win that year. We withstood
maybe he
all
just
the injuries.
he had Joe Douglas.
That's a big part of it. I mean, and it's crazy, man. Like it's crazy. Like
yeah, and I agree with what you were saying about how it seems like Howie Roseman, instead of taking the surefire guy, has tended to go for a project that has been told that is, he has potential to be one of the greats. When like that's these things aren't like a guarantee. Those are potential. We're looking at guys like DK Metcalf, who just was a phenom and is a physical freak of nature. And we're looking at him. We're like, yo, it's pretty obvious. This guy seems like an absolute stud. Why wouldn't you take him? And you want to go for a guy who like you're outsmarting yourself. It's pretty simple. You're just simply trying to be the smartest guy in the room, and that's been detrimental to us. I mean, we've pointed at it time and time again, and that's exactly why I have the stance that I have. That I don't know why Howie Roseman gets a pass year after year.
And I'm kind of gonna echo the sentiment of Chris here. Like I think that with Lurie, I think that the Super Bowl kind of bought him a little bit of time, but we're at the point now where we really have to question his decisions. And I'm on record saying like, fire Howie for the last 2 years. I don't think he's that good of a GM. He's a good cap guy. He's good with money management. He's good with contracts. But at the same time, like, can you really say that Howie has impacted this team positively in the last 3 years? Ever since the Super Bowl, it's kind of seemed what Chris was saying, where he's drafting for potential over impact. And that's where it's, we're sitting in 2020 and we're a 4-win team. And that's where it comes back to haunt you, like what Chris said with the Jefferson pick, with the DK Metcalf pick, with picking guys over Devontae Adams. Like you're talking about an all-world wide receiver core if you pick those 3 guys. And here we are with 4 wins in 2020, and we're staring down the barrel of last place in the division, whenever this division is extremely winnable. So if you really just draft the immediate impact guys, that's you basically walk yourself into an NFC East title and into a playoff run. So it's very alarming to me that we're choosing to continue on with Howie Roseman versus go with an outside voice.
I agree, because Anthony. Sorry, Gail, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Anthony says it here, as well, echoing what these guys have just said. He's trying to fill these voids that he creates and all these positions that in his mind are necessary, telling people what to do on the sideline, game day, all this. And, trying to be the smartest guy in the room, as he says here. He wants to be the genius. Well, let's be real here. He's not a genius, as Anthony mentions. And I'm going to be real. I have been pissed, and people talk about numbers, this, that. Well, there's a reason we're having to talk about all this BS that we're in, paying Carson Wentz, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, all these people, all this money, and now you're in hell. So this sucks because how he put us here, and we can't just overlook that. And as much as Jeffrey Lurie loves him, something needs to change. These guys need to have whatever meetings or whatever the hell needs to happen this week. They need to get the change that's necessary. And it's not just Carson Wentz, as we mentioned. So Howie is on the damn hot seat, man. But as we've talked about week in and week out, we don't think he's going anywhere because he keeps getting a pass because of that Super Bowl, as Chris was mentioning. It pisses us all off as fans, and we have every right to be pissed because we deserve change.
Yeah, I mean, and the new year always brings change. Other changes that happened over the course of the week. A guy like Jim Schwartz intends to take a year off in 2021 after his contract expires as he contemplates retirement, heard Tom Pelissero. Again, some people were raining on the parade here, excited about this move. People were dancing in the streets. But again, I'll go back to this guy helped us win a Super Bowl on a great run in 2017. But I feel like he's not even the scapegoat. If they pushed him out, the door, so be it. But I feel like he's not the scapegoat. The biggest problem still remains in the front office right now, and Howie Roseman, and then Doug Peterson and the play calling. Now, the play calling has been ass completely. I feel like we saw some changes with a new quarterback, but I still have my issues with offense. Still have my issues with some of the decisions that Doug is making. If this offensive coordinator comes in here and rights the ship, that's my other concerns because he'll be gone after a year and he'll get himself a head coaching job. If the football guy that comes in here to help Howard Roseman get back on track, he'll be gone and to get a GM job a year later or so. So we could be back here in the same position. So, I mean, those are some big concerns. But how about Schwartz? Were you guys shocked by the news? Feeling the news? People in the chat, were you loving this decision or what?
No, so that's kind of what I wanted to touch on too. Is like, Gail, you spoke on Jim Schwartz saying that Doug is kind of the guy calling the plays and how he's the guy that's drafting people and everything else like that. But can you really alleviate Jim Schwartz of, can you absolve him of his sins, for lack of a better term? Because he gave up almost 500 yards in the Super Bowl. Ultimately it was Doug Peterson and Frank Reich that led us to a Super Bowl because they were able to put up enough offensive points to win us that game. The defense didn't save us in the slightest bit besides, Brandon Graham getting that strip sack at the end. The defense, ultimately was, a no-show at that point.
Was ass. Like, imagine trying to win with Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills as your corners, dude.
It did well with the Falcons and Vikings, but I mean, yeah, that was a rough.
You're talking about the guy who's putting those players in place is Howard. So he's got to deal with the stuff that he's got to deal with. Obviously, having Nate Gary there is not serviceable. Just think about the players that could have been had. Imagine if we had two corners like that were locked down. Like, we wouldn't be here. We finally get Darius Slay, and then they go around and pussyfoot and try and put we know Lil Tay can play inside, but they got him out on the outside getting beat up. Like,
but at the same time, can you argue that Howie hasn't put the players in place? look at our defensive line, look at what our secondary had at that point. We're talking about a squad that had Rodney McLeod, Malcolm Jenkins, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett. We're talking about some cornerstone pieces of the Eagles franchise. So did he not really, put those people in a place to succeed? If we're really talking about like Schwartz lining people up 10 yards off the line of scrimmage on like a 3rd and 4 is the big issue here. We're playing kind of what Ree's saying here. Like, we're playing 6 defense on a 3rd and 4 whenever, let Jalen Mills be the physical corner that he was whenever he was in college, or, let those guys get up on the line of scrimmage instead of playing this soft defense and giving up a first down and playing prevent the entire game. And that might have been a different game. I understand ultimately we won Super Bowl 52, but that might have been a completely different onslaught than what we saw.
I'm not even just going Super Bowl. I'm going to go through the whole year.
Yeah.
But I'm also talking about like this season. Like, if you're talking, look at this season. Like, is he the number one reason? This offense has been offensive. It's been the worst.
It has been, but like let's look at it. Like, let's look at the entire scope of it, not just the Super Bowl, not just this year, but 2018, 2019 as well. Jim Schwartz has been somewhat of a soft spot in certain parts of the season. He's turned things around, and he's had flashes of a good defense out there. And granted, like we could talk about injuries ad nauseum. I mean, we've had them. That's obvious. And he's done okay with what we've, the players that we've given him. But ultimately, he hasn't done anything phenomenal. I like that. That's really where I stand. Is that like it's somewhat sad to see him go because of the whole Super Bowl and all that. But ultimately, our defense hasn't been stellar. So I think it can be greatly improved if we bring another guy in here.
I think, Evan, you're right. But my point was going to be the injuries, man. And as much as we've said it, it's the truth. Jim Schwartz has dealt with so many injuries in that defense, and he's had to put people in positions that he really didn't want to. I thought this was going to be the year we could turn things around. He would have the pieces he needed. Didn't keep Sidney Jones. You took a second-round pick for him, and then you give up on him. And the same with Rasul Douglas. And we all knew that Avonte Maddox was not the answer outside at corner. So now we're feeling it, man. And this really sucks, like, to truly go through what we are, because we're watching Howie miss on so many good players, and he's not putting these coaches in a position. So that comment just said, Jim Schwartz and Carson are the ones taking the fall right now. And it's true, and they shouldn't. They're somewhat part of the problem at times, but let's be real. This is a much bigger issue, and if this team thinks that these moves right here is what's going to fix it, we're in for a long ride.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing with Jim Schwartz was my issue with him and Doug is that they both showed an inability to adapt or really make a lot of adjustments. I mean, Jim Schwartz, he would have like those lights out games. I mean, look at the Saints game. I understand that it was Taysom Hill and he was holding the ball a little bit, but like that's a good team. And Jim Schwartz, he had a masterpiece game. I mean, our entire line and Josh Sweat did outstanding that game. I mean, and he had his moments. But then you had the Tennessee game. I know that's what I mean. You have the Carolina game, and like two shining examples of where you're like looking at Jim Schwartz and you don't know how he didn't call a timeout. Chase Claypool is torching the Eagles, and you see Nathan Gary covering Chase Claypool in the slot one-on-one, no help. Then Gail and I were at the game last year. DK Metcalf is on Marcus Epps for the season. Like this was for the season. It was I think it was like 3rd and 10, and then Marcus Epps like 12 yards playing off of DK Metcalf, caught the ball, season over. And like that's when you're like, okay, like, and it's just the Sticks defense drove you insane. Because like I know that people give Jalen Mills like a really hard time, but like he's a safety and a 7th round player. And the craziest thing is if you look at like Eddie Jackson, who like people really respect, Pro Bowler on Chicago, Jalen Mills has outplayed him the entire year. And it's amazing. I mean, Eddie Jackson's a guy who has a 5-year, like $48 million contract. Mills is on like a 1-year, like, so good. How much is it? Like $4 million contract. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's not like he's getting world beaters out here, because there's a report that he really wanted Kenneth Murray before the draft, and then we went offense. So It's one of those things where I think that we can do better with Schwartz, but it depends who we hire, because we really don't know if we're going to go in-house and keep Matt Burke, or if we're going to go outside and get something new.
And that's kind of what Chris was talking about, going back to the Howie, Doug, Jim conversation and everything else like that. Eddie Jackson is a 4th round pick in his respective right. So this is a guy that Chicago found down in, the dirt of the draft. And that's something we haven't had. You find your 1s and 2s of Mills serviceable, Jordan Mailata is good. You have potential with John Hightower and Quez Watkins, and we just haven't had the impact of those mid to late round picks like these other teams have. Speaking specifically on Chicago, Eddie Jackson's a guy who runs their defense. They don't even have a linebacker call their defense because Eddie Jackson's their center fielder of the entire defense. So if you find a guy like that in like the 4th, 5th round, and that's what it comes down to, that game-breaking impact from those mid to late round picks. And that's why I've been on record saying that I think Howie is beat. He's like I said, he's above average with the cap, and that's about it.
I think that you have to look at, this team has struggled mightily in the draft. Chris and Soko just mentioned, you're talking about Marcus Epps. You're talking about, 4th round. That's a good round. You should be able to find talent in that round. Eddie Jackson, we're not doing that. The case is out on Kayvon Wallace, but you got Jalen Mills, a 7th rounder who was a corner, now safety. And you see the talent that Howie Roseman is putting out there for him, and you see the injuries. So all these things are adding up. So it's not just on Jim Schwartz is where my head's at, but he definitely had his issues. But this all keeps coming back to Howie for me. And like Doug and Jim definitely sucked it up a lot of times. But dude, Howie, I just really have a bone to pick with him.
Yeah, I put out a invite to the show. If you guys want to jump on the show, give us your hot takes. I know we got 2 in the hopper. We got Elijah on deck and Mr. David Johnson, who's with us during the draft. Elijah, we'll bring you on real quick. If you're ready to rock, my guy. How you doing, Elijah?
Hey, how y'all feeling?
What's up, bro? How are you?
What is on your mind at
this
point in time? What are you feeling like? You're Eagles fan. You know how to feel. Like, what are you feeling at this moment?
Well, shoot, as y'all heard, of course, the Jim Schwartz thing, I'm feeling real like I was like, I'm upset, but then I'm not, because sometimes Jim Schwartz did have his moments, as I said under one of Jimmy's posts. I said he had his moments where he can be a dumbass, but then again, I had to look like who has Howie actually put out there for him, other than Big Play Slade, as we all know, and the D-line. I really can't name nobody that actually really helped, other than Michael Jenkins and, of course, a couple of other people. But I can't really name nobody personally that actually helped him. And then going into this game with Washington, I'm like, I see the post of Carson Wentz wanting out of Philly. I can't blame him, but then I'm a little bit upset. I'm like, all right, now you might be taking it a little bit too far, but
you got the Hurts jersey on, bro.
He hasn't had no weapons. Yeah, my girl had got me this for Christmas because she kept hearing us talk about him. So I'm like, yeah. I'm gonna wear it today just because.
I thought you were rocking the David Akers. I was like, oh.
So he got the Akers jersey on. This guy is showing kickers mad love.
Yeah, I thought.
So Elijah, let me play devil's advocate with you a little bit here. Let me play a little devil's advocate with you. So you don't think that Howie bringing in Malcolm Jenkins over Jarris Byrd, bringing in Rodney McLeod, bringing in, Ronald Darby, guys like that in the secondary is him trying to help out Jim Schwartz?
Okay, so let me tell you the thing about Ronald Darby. He went to Potomac, and I went to Friendly, so we played against each other. So I seen him play personally, and me knowing my skills against Ronald Darby, he was one of the greatest players in Maryland. But then when I played against him, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, he's not really that good. So
you were balling.
He was good on offense. Yeah, I'm so serious. He's good on offense, but I'm short. I'm like I'm only 5'7", and I was playing running back, and I was like, wait a minute, he can't be this he can't be this sweet in coverage. So I didn't know what he was going to do like at corner. So I'm like, come on now, it's not really a baller at corner. If you would have had him on the offensive side, of course, he was going to put up numbers regardless. But I guess somebody kept on telling him he's too small, he's too skinny. But defense, no, I would not have put him on defense at all. But
hey, he's like the PFF #1 corner, dude. He's balling out in Washington.
PFF is
whatever.
I'm totally kidding. He's a bum, dude.
I was about to say, come on now, we all went on PSF.
Yeah, I watched
but
it.
Like I was saying, I just want to play devil's advocate here. I think I have my own feelings on Howie Roseman and himself, but I feel like he's at least made the effort to make Jim Schwartz a better defensive coordinator, and maybe playing the sticks defense is what ultimately led his demise.
But that's why I also said Jim Schwartz also been a dumbass at times.
I mean, tell me, like, the corners that we have missed on has been incredible. Like Sidney Jones,
Trey White.
Douglas.
Oh my god!
If you hit it on corners in the second and third round of that draft, we don't draft, or we don't pick a Darius Slay up, because every time we're drafting, it's because you missed on players. Like the fact that you end up having you draft a Donald Pumphrey. Now you move up and draft a Miles Sanders. You keep on, you miss on a Clayton Thorson in the 5th, come back in the second draft the Jalen Hurts QB factory. We keep on making the same mistake.
It's just all misses.
Yeah.
I mean, the same person is making the same mistakes, so that's where we're at. So,
but
I think
while we're on the topic real quick of Miles Sanders, can we just address the elephant in the room, Mr. Soko? What's going on there? The ultimate Sanders.
I had
supporter?
to, man. So Miles is my guy. If Carson's not going to be our franchise guy, then Miles Sanders is going to be our franchise guy, and I ride with my franchise guy. So had to put on for us.
Prime, just sneaking in the building. How you doing, man?
What's up, fellas?
What's up, bro?
What's up, Prime?
How you feeling, man?
I'm not feeding into the bullshit that I'm reading on Twitter line all day. So
feed into it.
Wait. You telling me?
Hold on, but I want to ask a question, Soko. If Miles encouraged you to do that because you were saying that he's our so-called franchise guy, what did you do for Carson?
I bought his jersey. What you talking about?
Oh, man, stop that shit. That ain't don't mean shit, man. That don't mean shit.
You better wear a suit like Carson wore.
Pandora and all.
Chill.
I saw this. This is a hockey style Eagles hoodie.
Wow.
That it was a one of a kind, so I ended up copping it.
You do that hockey.
I do the hockey.
Everybody,
I got a friend. Shout out to my boy Ray. I got a friend who's a diehard Flyers fan, so he's asked me to get a Prime helmet done for the Flyers, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it for this upcoming season.
Very nice.
That'll be awesome.
We got Elijah. We're gonna have to bring in another guest. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, Elijah.
Come back.
Take care, Elijah.
Hope to join again.
All right,
Take care, man. Thank you.
Bringing in Dave to the hopper. Dave always bring in heat. If you don't know David, he was in the draft show talking about his college roommate who was AGG, right?
Yes, sir.
We thought the stars had aligned and God had brought in AGG to our table because his roommate is now in the chat, and now he's here bringing the heat as always. How you feeling, man?
That's how I'm feeling. I missed the show like 3 or 4 weeks as I'm like, oh, maybe I've been busy on like Sunday afternoons, and plus being in Houston, I'm not like able to watch a lot of the game. So I'll like tune into some of the games. I'm like, all right, what's going on? I'm like, man, it's not great. It's not going great. I'll tell you that much. The first thing, I had to go get my Macklin jersey out the back of the closet.
Let's go.
That's how I need. It's like, to me right now, it feels kind of like a funeral where it feels like a funeral, so I needed to have like a comfort thing because, like,
Yeah.
you know, we already talked about Wentz. Zach Ertz probably gone. The bloated contracts of Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, who front flipped and tore something probably. Like, it's just it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, so you were none too pleased about the news, I assume.
No, about Carson or Jim. Or
well, I
both?
mean, just the boatload that we got dropped on us this morning, the Jim Schwartz news, going to be staying.
Well, I think Chris spoke on it earlier, and I've been talking to Chris randomly. There's a difference when other teams draft. It seems like they draft to support, whereas when Philly drafts, we draft because we previously just missed.
Yes.
So, like, when you see, like, to the funeral, when you see, the Chiefs get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're like, that's to support what they already have and to completely, like, not completely retool, but to add avenues to their offense.
They're not filling a hole.
When you see us go, like you said, you guys mentioned earlier, like, oh, let's double up on tight end for some reason. Then let's get Maddox and then try to make him a starter on the outside. It's not working. So then let's get Clayton Thorson. For what reason are we drafting a quarterback in the 5th round when this team, like, what was it we talked about last time? This team collectively spends like $3 million on our linebackers.
I mean, he could have got Gardner Johnson on the board.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so
Thorson, bro.
And then we get mad because Gary is facing the wrong way on routes that are running around him.
Yeah,
it's just comedy, man. It won't change in my mind. It won't change until either Howie is gone or the power that he has is shrunk severely to where
you need him gone.
I would love if he's gone. If he's not gone, give Dorsey 80% of the power in terms of GM.
Yep.
Howie, you sign the contracts. That's why you here. You change the title of your little name badge, the contract signer. You're not the GM. You don't make this like, what was it last year? Was a lot of people wanted Justin Jefferson in the scouting department, but he had the last say so. Like, all of this stuff that comes out later, it's kind of like, not like, why are you so happy to draft Jalen Hurts with a 2nd round pick? Like why?
I'm still feeling a certain way about the high five.
Seeing Justin Jefferson.
I was like, you guys mentioned Justin Jefferson.
I was just about to say breaking Randy Moss's record.
Yeah,
as a rookie.
Exactly.
And we want to draft and then use it as a gadget player. And I'm like, I think Rager is going to be good, but we need help at that position. Why would you not go for the guarantee home run hit and go for like a really good utility player and be like, he's really good, but like utility players only work in certain instances. Jalen Rager is not going to work 100% on our team unless there's somebody else on the outside or unless like
Minnesota ran that pick to the podium.
Like
We have 2 other guests in the green room. We have 2 what are the chances that you get 2 guys who played on the same high school football team and they're not even from here? Talking about Eagles in the same chat.
Yo.
Oh.
What's going on? Everybody's showing up with dollars today. What's going on? We really are showing up for a funeral.
You got to dress. You got to play the part, Evan. You got to.
Yeah, I feel you.
Did you guys plan this? Did you guys plan this?
Maybe.
No,
maybe.
I went out to go watch some of the early games down at the street, and I just wanted to, flex a little bit with the collar.
Of course.
I know this year hasn't gone as planned, but we're all here together. So,
was there a lot of was there like floods of Cowboys tears in El Paso today, or what was going on?
They were very upset. They were real sad. I went to a friend's house yesterday, and he was telling me, "We have hope. We have hope." And I'm like, "Boy, first of all, you got to you got to do your part and beat the Giants." Even before the Eagles game starts at 6:30 our time, the Cowboys might be out of it. And he's like, no, we're going to win tomorrow. And the Eagles are going to win on Sunday. And I'm just like, dude, you might want to pump the brakes, man. Have you seen how many guys are sitting out tonight?
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? It was just a matter of time. I told everybody, just wait. Just wait. Be patient. What can't go wrong will go wrong. And sure enough, those Cowboys didn't let me down. I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you.
Hey, Israel love company, right?
Absolutely. And when like big thanks to the NFL for flexing our game, because now technically we had a longer season than the Cowboys by a few hours.
For us to get flexed just to possibly get our butt whooped from the comeback player of the year is going to be awful.
Yeah,
it's going to be awful.
Yeah. So I'd like to address something that's in the comments. A bunch of people are talking about all the dead cap money that's going to happen if it's traded and everything else like that. Like, so I wrote an article on this earlier, just whenever the news dropped and everything else like that. You guys understand, like, everybody in this room, we understand that we're not taking $56 million in dead cap hit, right? That's not going to happen.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
I don't own the Eagles. I'm not Jeffrey Lurie. I'm not going to pay $56 million to some guy that's not on my team, but that's his decision to make. But let me be honest here. Carson, whenever the report came out from Chris Mortensen, that is, he addressed that Carson Wentz is willing to aid the Eagles in facilitating this trade because he just doesn't want to be in Philly. It's not going to happen. $56 million of dead cap hit over the next 2 years is not going to happen. Howie Roseman's going to address the big elephant in the room. I spoke about it on weeks prior where, it'll come down as an extension, kind of like a 1-year extension to his contract. And that dead cap hit will be spread out over the next 4 years. But it's not going to be a dead cap hit because he's not going to be cut by that team. It'll just alleviate the cap that the Eagles are already, accounting for at that point. So those that are addressing the dead cap hit, this is kind of what I spoke about in my article as well. You're talking about $25.4 million in the 2021 season. That includes bonuses and roster bonuses as well. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to hit a nice extension with Carson over that 1 year period. Either the $25.1 million ish is going to be spread out over the next 4 years, or it'll get added to the 5th year of that contract, as well as the bonuses. I understand that the Eagles are going to be on the line for the bonuses, but basically it's going to be an incentive laden contract and it's going to be easily attained incentives. So it's going to be passing yards. It's going to be pass completions. It's going to be few interceptions. It's going to be touchdown passes. It's, whatever it may be. It may just be that he's on the roster for that season. But at the end of the day, we're not going to take on that dead cap. If anything, it's going to be what I would expect is something around a $500,000 base salary with incentive laden prorations in that contract for this upcoming 2021 season. That way we take a minimal dead cap hit for 2021 and we can reassess in 2022. But at the end of the day, it's just not going to happen. We're not taking $56 million in dead cap. And like I said earlier, Carson said that he's willing to work with the Eagles to facilitate this trade. And honestly, it could just be as simple as him not wanting to be in Philly. And that's the big, elephant in the room that we all want to discuss is he just may not want to be in Philly anymore.
I mean, that's the thing that a lot of people talk about. We talk about it as like, us just thinking that Carson is happy. I mean, he's going to play for the team and play for the city. But if he's not happy and he doesn't feel like the team has backed him, would I feel if I was Carson Wentz in the second round they drafted Jalen Hurts? Would I say you're really looking out after my best interest? I'd feel a certain way. Same way Donovan McNabb felt when Kevin Cobb was drafted. It happens, and like if we're gonna sit here and just feel like it's a one-sided street and saying that Wentz wants to be, maybe he's not. If he's not happy, he's not happy. He's not happy with how. I think there's a disconnect between Howie and Carson Wentz, and I think there's a disconnect between the coaching and what probably Carson wants to see from this offense, and he's not seeing it. If these stories are coming out, they're coming out for reasons. Whatever that may be, it is what it is. So this is where we're at. So it's like, again, man, we all love Carson Wentz, but if it's headed in this direction, think about what Howie Roseman is as a GM. He's a guy that's always looking for value. There's no way all the minds in the Eagles community are talking. Chris Long is saying, how could you bring these guys back in the locker room? Orlovsky saying, there's no way you can bring these guys back in the locker room. Joe Banner, he says, when they made that move, they knew exactly how Carson would feel and where it would go, and the direction it would go. 3 weeks later, here we are. News. This is back-to-back weeks. More report and Adam Schefter. So this is where it's heading. Like you can either, like we don't, we some of us would like to move on. Some of us would like to see it work out, but we're here. Look, why don't we just go around the room? We'll start with Mr. Carson's fault. Will Carson Wentz be here next year, Mr. Prime? Hold on.
You're muted.
Yeah. He's gonna be here next year. I feel Howie's gonna go ahead and get fired tomorrow after all this shit is done and over with.
You said Howie?
Yeah, I see Howie getting fired tomorrow. I see that's the news. And then when that happens, I'm gonna go on live and I'm gonna go ahead and do a dance. All right, because
you better have your Prime helmet on when you do it too.
Listen, if I could put all 16 of my helmets on at one time, I would. Because that's how excited I'm gonna go ahead and be, man. You guys know where I stand with Carson, all right, and I'm sticking with it. That is our quarterback. I'm not gonna get more detailed into it, but I'm still sticking with it.
You really think Howie's getting fired?
I think Howie's getting fired. Yep. I think Howie's getting fired, man.
Would that be a quick switch? Like that would be a quick switcheroo. He takes the hammer and breaks his hand. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Why don't we go
off the gangrene?
Why don't we go with the new Eagles OC? He's already pushing for a job down there. Are you bringing Carson Wentz back? Is Carson Wentz back in the building next year?
Yeah. Like I was telling Selko, I think Tuesday's conversation Doug is going to have with Mr. Larry is going to be a little different than what the media is putting out there. I think that Tuesday, Deuce Staley is going to be announced as the new head coach, and he's going to let Carson and Jalen
duke it out.
Because at the end of the day, both of them have value. If Carson wins it, go ahead and trade Jalen and get that value before the draft. Not before the draft, but get that value for Jalen, because both of them have value to them. So we can build from that. The cap is going to be a little hard to play around. We're going to have to build with rookies because they're cheap, and we're not going to be able to sign those marquee free agents these upcoming seasons. So
if I'm going off your comment, and you're saying that trying to get cheap, and that's where the Eagles flourished when Carson Wentz was in that rookie deal. And I feel like that's where they want to. I feel like that's where Howie wants to go back to. He's like, if I can move on in a certain way, like I've had 5 years, and I feel like it's not the thing. That's where that's where he's at. And I feel like if Howie has that disconnect with Wentz, and Wentz is like, bro, you're not even backing me. So like, why don't I just move on, help you facilitate this trade, and we can be good money. You can get your value, and we'll be on. When we go to Mally, is missed one of the Wentz wagon presidents. Mally, will Carson Wentz be back here next year?
That's honest. Like, it's such a loaded question, man. Like, I personally, I feel like it can't happen if Doug and Howie are both here. Because Prime, like, believe me, I would love if Howie Roseman got the can, but I don't see it happening because this game can't change anyone's mind because it doesn't mean anything. Because the game, like, we're sitting off our starters and we can't get in the playoffs. So Howie can't look any worse. The only way he would look any worse is if Jalen Hurts just absolutely shits the bed, or if he decides to play Jalen Hurts like the first half or the whole game and he got hurt behind Brett Toth and Pryor. And then, like, Howie should get shot into the sun if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, like, in a meaningless game. What's up,
Hold
Brian?
on, Chris. I just want to say, do you think that Jalen Hurts playing tonight with no bodies, okay, is that pressure being put on him to show this fan base, show that organization that he can go ahead and do things with no bodies?
I mean, I think that's I think that's why they're playing him at all. It's just another way to evaluate him, but I don't really think it's a fair evaluation. I'm like, dude, you're going against Chase Young in a game that means more to Washington than they've played in years. I mean, Washington can go the playoffs if they beat us, and they're going against Brett Toth and Matt Pryor.
I get it, but at the part that's the part that I'm get frustrated about, and it sounds like I'm going against Jalen Hurts, which I'm not. You know what I mean? But my thing is, you can't go calling this kid our franchise based off of the little bit that he's done.
No, I 100% agree.
Even if tonight, if he was to go ahead, I can't blame him because they're putting him in a position where, like, they're setting him up to fail. Not fair to him. Not fair to him at all. So that's why I just get mad. I'm looking and I'm reading all these Twitter comments and Instagram comments about, hey, you know, this is our franchise. Come on, people, wake the fuck up. Like, this is too damn soon to be assuming that shit. Too damn soon. That's all I'm saying.
I'm 100% behind you, Prime. Like, I'm still a firm believer that Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback. He should be our franchise quarterback. But seeing the way that, like, Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson have acted in this whole time period, it's shady. I mean, Carson even said in the press conference that Doug didn't even tell him he wasn't going back in the game for Green Bay. Like, he told him,
shady, dude. Mad shady. It's like having a side chick around. Hurts has been hanging around way too long. I mean, Carson is the one that helped you attain that.
No, don't worry about him. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, it's just
good money.
Yeah.
We on the show. We're all like, this is all weird. It's going in the wrong direction. Look where we're at right now.
Yeah, we said it during the draft, man. Like, as soon as we drafted Jalen Hurts, I said, this literally starts the time clock that Carson Wentz is going to be leaving Philadelphia. No one thought it would be this soon. And the sad part is, like, they're going to use the evaluation and, like, the Saints game, be like, look at this. Like, look what Jalen can do. It's like, yeah, he's that talented that he can, like, patch some holes. But the whole time that you're patching the holes in the ceiling, the fucking floor's flooding. I mean, dude, like, the Dallas game, it was like – it was the same shit. He's fumbling the ball. He's throwing interceptions. He's getting hit. Do I blame him for all of it? No. It's like, you shouldn't blame Carson Wentz for everything. Like, Carson Wentz literally had, like, he dug his own grave in ways this year. But at the same time, like, who the hell is going to succeed with that stuff around him, all the drama going on around him? I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if anyone deserves a second chance to prove that he's the guy, it should be Carson Wentz. The dude doesn't bitch. He doesn't complain. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, he needed to be benched. I agree, Anthony. Absolutely needed to be benched. And it was a perfect time to evaluate Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, it's just like, do you give up and take the cap hit for a franchise guy? It's not a good look.
But if we're talking, if that restructure happens, and that, do you feel a different way? If they can get out of this contract, do you feel a different way, Chris?
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, if you have to move mountains to get rid of a guy that wasn't considered. No, I'm saying if he's. What do you mean?
Kills.
No, if they restructure and he facilitates this trade to happen,
yeah.
You don't have to move mountains. How do you feel about that? Are you like?
Well, I'm saying if it was any other quarterback, it would be a lot harder. I think Carson, being the person that he is, makes it a lot easier to handle. Because, like, you would, like, imagine, like, you saw the thing on ESPN, like, oh, like, like Carson Wentz is going to sign a check for $20 million, and then they'll pay him.
Okay.
No, like stuff like that. And they're talking. That's what I mean. It's just like the only reason people think that's possible is because Carson Wentz is the way he is, and if he is willing to restructure to get away from a team, like. It tells you more about the team than it tells you about him. If he's trying to get out of here, like that's crazy.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I want to poke some holes right now. I want to poke some holes because you just said how Carson Wentz isn't that guy that is bitching or anything like that. But what has happened since he's been taken out of the starting role? We've had stories leaking out of the locker room about how he's unhappy, how he wants out of here. To me, that doesn't exactly sound like a guy that's not bitching. That sounds like a guy that doesn't want to compete.
But it's not coming from him, though, because Schefter even said that it wasn't coming from Carson or his camp. He's saying, you know what I mean? Like
he said the first one didn't come from Carson. This new
the whole
report,
thing,
there hasn't been a confirm has that been from Carson.
Exactly. But the whole thing is like each story needs a villain. The media loves it. Like Carson Wentz is a perfect villain because the dude literally doesn't talk to the media. He's not on Instagram like, yo, like I didn't say this. Like he's literally like a religious dude. He puts his hard helmet on and goes
all
to
the
work.
deer in this area hate
They're like, yo,
I'm saying he's an easy target.
all of us.
Get him out of here.
All of us. He shot about 100 of my brothers. Get him out of here. Okay.
I'm curious to see how that conversation is going to go with Carson and Jeffrey tomorrow when they have their exit interviews.
They already
remember, every player has an exit interview. So I don't know what it was in the past, but I think Jeffrey is going to be more involved to figure out what the vibe is of the organization. And depending on how that conversation goes, Jeffrey is going to end up making that decision. Either Carson or Doug has to leave. Because if Jeff tells Carson, hey, we're going to go ahead and, part ways with Doug, but don't say anything yet. Carson's going to stay because he's going to have a new head coach that might be, open-minded to staying with Philly for a little bit. We got the weapons. It's basically the communication in the coaching room.
I want to completely contradict what Marcus is saying. Like, Lurie and Carson have already had their exit interview. That's where this came from. It's not coming out of thin air for nothing. And kind of like what Gail alluded to earlier, like Chris Mortensen doesn't just put stuff out to put stuff out. Like Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, like I understand, like you guys are the NFL guys, but Chris Mortensen doesn't speak unless he has facts. And that's where, I feel like the breakdown and the contract negotiation of the restructure and everything kind of broke down. And that's where Jeff Lurie stepped in and was like, hey, I don't want him gone. Whereas, Carson and Jeff had to sit down. Carson said, hey, I don't want to be in Philly. And that's where this second, steam of rumors picked up a little bit. And that's where, you get teams that are actively discussing this. And that's where it becomes such a big scenario that, ultimately what we're discussing right now.
Now, Soko, like, besides all this news, we were, these rumors were out there before Mort and Schefter reported. And these are stuff that we've all been talking about for. You actually broke this down on the show probably a month ago.
Yeah, so this is something that we've had over 4th and John for probably a solid month, at least 3.5 weeks now, that, Carson isn't exactly happy in Philadelphia. He doesn't like the fan involvement. He doesn't, like how engaged Howie is as far as actives and inactives, and he doesn't really enjoy having an active owner in Jeff Lurie. I understand, and this has been reported before, that he and Jeff Lurie have grown very fond of each other over their time in Philadelphia because of their upbringings. So both of them grew up in the same region in the United States, and they can, relate to one another. And that's where this conversation with Jeff Lurie went. So with the news that Howie was trying to negotiate a contract restructure with Carson, Jeff came down and said, no, I want to have a conversation with him first. So they had the conversation. The conversation alluded to Carson not wanting to be in Philadelphia anymore. For whatever reason, we'll never know, but we know that Carson isn't happy in Philadelphia, and that's really what it boils down to. And that's why he is willing to help facilitate this trade, like Chris Mortensen said earlier.
Yeah. One thing real quick is like you have a team like the Bills when they had Josh Allen, who was one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL last year. He was throwing about 50% completion. No, what was he at? Like he was at like 50, right? And they no, I'm saying like the dude was awful. If you watch the playoff game last year with the Bills, like Josh Allen, like you literally thought he couldn't throw a football. That's how bad it was. And he single-handedly lost in the playoff game. Instead of drafting another quarterback, they leaned into the problem. They went to go get Diggs. They got him coaching. They made sure he got coaching, and they got him another running back, and they built a team around him. Josh Allen's throwing 69% completion rate, and they're getting a bunch of people around him. I mean, Stephon Diggs alone is leading the NFL in receptions. Like that's what you do. You lean into the issues. Like Josh Allen was an issue, but he was a top investment for them. Carson Wentz was a top investment for us, and he wasn't in a rookie deal like Josh Allen. We just paid him all that money, and instead we drafted another quarterback, and then the whole thing is like, okay, like you draft Jalen Reagor, it's like that's fine that like but you had that plans for that. Like Dave was talking about, like if you're gonna draft a guy that you want to manufacture touches for, that's fine, but they drafted 2 more project guys after him. I mean, they waited to get Quez, who I think is talented, but at the same time is you don't exactly know where he is. And then you drafted Hightower, who's like another guy who's not that big, because they could have grabbed AGG. They could have grabbed a guy like Gabriel Davis. Like that was the issue. They grabbed like 3 guys who are not that big, and like they're all project guys. And that's just it was an overcorrection because we're really slow, so we drafted 3 fast guys.
Well, you make mention of projects. Shout out to Daz, always active in the chats. Just want to give him some love right now. Daz says Smith or Chase.
Let's go, baby. This is my conversation.
My pick is we get Dabble from Buffalo and bring him here first. That's what I say. Get him from Buffalo, bring him into the room, and let him help develop like he did with Josh Allen.
Okay. But what are we talking about, Chase and Smith here?
Oh, sir. Me and Chris Malley are on the very same page for the first time, and I think forever as far as the draft is concerned. You know, Chris was a Jalen Reagor guy. I was a Justin Jefferson guy last year. But I think for the first time, maybe Malley, you can speak this as well. I think we have both been clamoring for the thought of Jamar Chase and Midnight Green for 2 years now. You know, you're talking about a guy who broke FBS records in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns in a single season. And it just so happens that
in the SEC,
we might have an opportunity to take the guy. So yeah, I am embracing the chase this season.
I mean, you couldn't go wrong with either of the prospects here.
That's
but
what
I
I'm
think
at,
you're talking about Chase is the dog. You're talking about Justin Jefferson being on the same team, and Chase was outshining him even a little bit. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's, you know, he could really elevate. You know, he's got the size, attacks the ball in the air. I mean, Smith.
We miss out on Chase.
Smith is a playmaker. People will talk about his size and try to downplay him, but he's just a playmaker.
And he's very explosive, man. That playoff game against Notre Dame, I mean, he was catching balls and just taking off. And I mean, again, you can't go wrong with either or. But me personally, I'd go with Smith, but I'm down with Chase as well.
Chris and I both said Chase and then get Olave from Ohio State is the 1-2.
Okay.
Let's go.
We don't like Alshon. Okay, thank you for the Super Bowl catch. Be on your way. Like, we don't have that big name target, that big guy who can produce that Stephon Diggs level, like basically Justin Jefferson. Like, we don't have that to connect and complement Jalen Reagor. So that at the beginning of the year, they had Jalen Reagor just run streaks, and it's like he could do that, but that's not what makes him so good. It wasn't until they used him in different ways that they put him on punt return, and then they're like, okay, and we're never going to put you back on punt return for the rest of the year. And it's just like What are y'all doing? What Greg Ward's back there dropping every single punt. Like, what are y'all doing?
But I completely agree with you, David. And I think that if you bring in another, it really doesn't even matter whether I prefer Chase over Devontae Smith, but either one of them I would take. And if you bring in either one of those guys, the pressure that takes off of Rager, it could be equally beneficial for the two of them. And you just add more explosiveness to your offense, that many more options for whoever the quarterback ends up being. And you could have some really explosive young options on rookie deals.
You need a dog. You need a dog.
You need a dog.
Consistent. I was asking earlier on, like outside of
Miles, bringing in dogs can bring out the
playmaker, a young playmaker that we have that in the early 20s. We don't have
the
that
same dude that's been sitting on the bench all season. He was the lead top 5 receiver, and then we decided to sit him when Mr. Alshon got healthy.
Oh yeah, Fulgham. Yeah. We don't know how to put them.
Travis forgotten. You mean?
I kind of want to discuss Ryan's comment here, like. Obviously, if Chase is off the board, Devontae Smith is your consolation prize, and he's not a bad consolation prize. But we're talking about, a guy who sat out the entire 2020 season is still a top 5 pick. Devontae Smith kind of emerged onto the scene once Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Waddle went down.
Yeah.
And here we are still talking about Jamar Chase, and he didn't play a single down of football this year.
I mean, Deshae also says that Jamar going Cincy.
Not a chance.
I wonder if they're going to protect. They're going to protect Joe.
Yeah, they're going to go O-line for sure.
They have to, and that's the thing. You're talking about a guy who completely got his knee destroyed this year, and he just got drafted in the year prior. So, if you're smart and you're Cincinnati, they already have Jonah Williams at left tackle, who's who did a decent job at left tackle, but ideally he's a right tackle, and he played right tackle at Alabama. So you shift Jonah Williams to right tackle, and then Penei Sewell just kind of falls into your lap, and there's your generational left tackle to protect your franchise quarterback.
Exactly, and I think that Cincinnati's wide receiver options are already pretty. They're already doing pretty well. So, like, I don't think that'd be someone they'd be eyeing with their first pick.
Yeah,
there's a lot of there's a
I'm
cornerback
indifferent.
in the chat right now.
I don't think we need a receiver in the first round. We need to build from the defense, and I'm just thinking history. Look at the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, the 2007 Baltimore Ravens. Look at both years the Giants won the Super Bowl. They had a strong defense. We can find a receiver. And like I said, Waddle potentially could fall back into the second just because of his injury. So we can piggyback and go get a receiver and add a complimentary big next to Fulgham. I would really like to see Fulgham as a 1 into a scheme with Rager and the speed we have along with Miles. I think we have the guys there. I don't think Doug is the person that needs to do it unless we give him an actual offensive coordinator. I think.
But Marcus, let
me
kick this at you. Do you really feel like any of the corners in the draft right now are worthy of a top 5 selection?
I really do like Patrick Surtain.
See, obviously for everybody watching the show, all of our draft selections are our preference, but I think cornerback 1 is Caleb Farley, and I don't.
Farley from Virginia.
I don't think he's anything more than and that's not saying he's not skilled, but I think he's around that 10 to 12 area versus a 5-6 pick.
It's going to be real interesting. When it comes time to.
What happens when Howie drafts a project linebacker with our 2nd round pick? What are we gonna do?
Oh my God, dude!
What are we gonna do?
Yo, I mean, if John Dorsey is in the building, are we feeling a certain way?
Yes.
Draft a little bit more excitement.
If he's officially announced as a title.
I want Howie,
not just a consultant, but
I need an official title because now he has some pull within the building.
I'll take a VP of bitch. I'm running the draft. Put
Howie in the door so you can see him in the camera, like looking into the window, but he's not in the room making the picks. He's just kind of waving in the background. I'll take that.
So I kind of want to I want to say something. I just saw Daz. Daz is, very active in the comments. So, we appreciate you being here, Daz. He says there's no Ramsey in the draft. I would like to counter that pick and would like to say that, you might want to watch some JC Horn tape and then come back to me.
Oh, Joe Horn's son, right? That kid?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
I think that he is that Jalen Ramsey, Marlon Humphrey type physical corner that, might slide a little bit further than most because of, Farley's story being that he switched positions and everything, and Patrick Surtain being that, he is the son of a former Hall of Famer. I might want to check him out.
Where is he projected
I
to
would
go?
say look at the dude opposite of JC.
Izzy.
He's Izzy 6'3" and still got that's a big frame, so he can guard anybody. And you got to look at our division as well.
Yeah,
he's going to be able to lock down a couple receivers, and he has good for his size. He shouldn't be moving the way he moves as a corner. And
we had Izzy on a couple days ago. We had him on. We were talking prospects, and dude, I mean, he does have the dog in him. I mean, all the answers that he came back with, he's definitely got that dog mentality. It was a good thing to see. And to speak on what you said about his frame, like that's not something you usually see. A 6'4" corner able to move the way that he can and cover how he can. So I agree with you. I think he's definitely an interesting option.
Shout out to AJ.
I don't know about the first.
AJ Torres. He actually did the interview with Izzy. Trying to mess it up.
Yeah, AJ is a big proponent of the South Carolina corners as a whole. JC and Izzy are actually in both of his top 10 corners. So I am not a huge knowledgeable person in terms of defensive back. So I take what he says very seriously because he played defensive back. So what he sees on film is Daz, I like that. Yeah. JC Horn.
A minute and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like JC is that Marlon Humphrey, Jalen Ramsey type of corner. He might not be Jalen Ramsey in terms of coverage quite yet, but you're going to see him take a leap in the league, kind of like Marlon Humphrey did after that first season.
Yeah. For the draft, I mean, you can go. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I'm saying when you talk about like, would you rather take a wide receiver or cornerback? I mean, if you look at the Pro Bowlers this year, almost all the Pro Bowlers this year were all first round, second round picks. All their wide receivers, a lot of them weren't first round and second round picks. And like you see it because wide receiver is a really difficult position. I mean, it takes a little while to get used to things. I mean, offensively, like it's very scheme dependent. Sometimes it matters who's ahead of you. I mean, we saw guys like Stephon Diggs is a later round pick. I mean, I mess around with the draft a lot, and what I've been doing is when we have a top 5 pick, I've been moving back to around 8, 9, and then right there, certain Farley, Horn, and even sometimes Micah Parsons and Devonta Smith are all there, and recouping another second round pick, and then I'm pretty much attacking whatever I don't pick up on the first, whether I'd be getting Chris Olave, trying to get Asante Samuel Jr., or I was taking – there's a bunch of linebackers in the second round. As much as I like Micah Parsons, I don't think it's realistic that we would take him in the first round. My whole thing is there's plenty of talent to go around. It's just going to come up to the Eagles is, do you just take best player available in the first, or do you actually do the smart thing and maybe move back a little bit, recoup another second round pick or something else, and get as much, because we have a lot of holes and we need to get as many rookies as we can on affordable deals.
You talk about the extra draft picks, but when they trade Wentz, you have those extra picks. And Ertz.
That's kind of what I was alluding to.
I was trying to get a reaction out of you guys.
Let's kick around the idea that we get a 2021 first for Wentz. And then we're talking,
you're talking about Howard Roseman. All he talks about is value. That's all he talks about is value. I mean, Ertz, his brother put out that post about him, going
to the next chapter of his career. Yeah.
He deleted that one today.
He did.
But it's kind of like the writing's on the wall. His brother said on a podcast like 3 weeks ago that, even Zach would tell you if you're headed down a rebuild, then Zach would tell you that it's most definitely time to move on. He reiterated that. Had his issues with Howie. Carson having his issues with Howie. Doug also having his issues with Howie. you see a trend here. But if there's a movement that's going to happen, and then talk about Kelsey's retirement, because that's also because that we feel like that's going to happen. Because Kelsey's not going through a rebuild.
Exactly.
I just think it's weird, but just going into the this new year. I didn't even say Happy New Year's to you guys because this news has been so crazy.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year, guys. I mean, it's a new year. We can move past 2020. But we talked about some of these resolutions. Asked some of the guys on the show to give us some of their resolutions and how they were feeling. So we took down some resolutions. 2021 resolutions. Evan, let's talk about yours, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing that we've been pounding the table over the entire year is just some consistency in running the ball. One of the most elite players that we have on this offense is our running back, and we just tend to drift away from him in games. He's productive. He ends up there you go, Soko. He's got, Soko's kind of bling going on, so he's fashionable. But he's an absolute baller, and we don't use him to his full potential. So I think that's something I want to move forward with. The big one here, is the communication between the coaching and the front office, because as of right now, as of the entire year, it's been complete shambles. Like there has been just the toxicity that exists within this organization. It all comes down to the lack of communication that we have between our front office, our coaching, and how that trickles down to our players. So that needs to just be shored up because we have too much just little circles of people and pockets, and everybody needs to come together as a team. And the last one is just kind of what I was alluding to just beyond Miles Sanders. Use your playmakers. We talked about how we went away from Travis Fulgham this year. That made absolutely no sense. We talked about how, we have a guy like Greg Ward back there returning punts all year and just, not doing anything, not catching the ball half the time and putting us back even further that we have to go. So where I want to do is use our playmakers.
Let's see. I'll go with Prime first. Prime, what's yours?
My resolution was swag. I missed the swag. I've been missing the swag since 2017. I'm getting tired of watching these other teams. Like right now, the way Green Bay just demolished Chicago, and then the way they celebrate as a team, having fun, knowing it's just going out there and having a good time. Don't see that out of our players. Haven't seen that in a long time, and I missed that. 2017, it was just like as soon as these guys got a playoff or a touchdown, damn, I'm looking forward to seeing what type of celebration we're gonna go ahead and put together. That's the type of stuff that I just miss. I also mentioned discipline, man. I just feel like there's we're missing out on that.
Jason Peters.
Yeah, these guys, knowing the techniques and fundamentals to the game. They're missing that. It's like they're just they need to start keep on following the team rules, knowing how to play together, play well. Keep the key to success on the football field. And again, we're lacking that. So those are my resolutions. Going into the new season, depending on if it's with a whole new coaching staff, new GM, whatever the case may be. So those are the two that I picked.
Yeah, discipline's a big one.
Yes, sir. Soko?
So mine was pick proven talent instead of projects. And that, I think everybody likes to believe that the projects all work out, but for every, Jordan Mailata, there's a guy like Alejandro Villanueva that was brought in as a defensive end and he's booted off the field. Obviously, his career worked out and everything, he's with the Pittsburgh Steelers and everything, but at the end of the day, we brought him in as a 7th round project and we didn't even break camp with him. So, I'd like to see them take proven guys in the draft. And that's, kind of what I've been alluding to throughout the duration of the show is I want them to establish a culture within Philadelphia, not the Chip Kelly culture where we, worry about attitude and happiness and blah, blah, blah over results on the field, but I want to see an actual culture develop in Philly. Whereas right now it kind of looks toxic where, you look at a free agent class in 2022 or 2023 and guys want to come to Philadelphia and they want to play football for the Eagles because we have such a good culture. We have a winning culture and we have a front office that's going to back the team that we place on the field. And that's kind of where I sat with this is I've looked at the off seasons versus the draft. The off seasons have been more of a success as a whole with free agency than draft. So go ahead and pick your proven talent and get them on young, cheap contracts, and then bring in a playmaker if you need it in free agency.
Yep, we've been saying outsmarting ourselves. We're the kings of it. Is Mally hidden behind the screen?
I'm right there. Yeah, what's called mine was put our players in a position to succeed. I mean, it's a very direct comment, but like as a whole, I agree. Like discipline's a huge thing. Like succeed, like practice what you preach. I mean, you hear things that we have really bad or like slow practices. And another thing is, are we preparing the players the right way that they're not going to get injured? Because there's a reason why these players are getting injured. Different teams practice different ways in the intensity of practices, and maybe that's why we're getting injured. Maybe we're messing around at practice and we're not going a certain speed, and then we get into a game, and that's why guys are pulling up injured. Another thing with the position to succeed, there's all the reports that Howie gives out the lineup Saturday night, and then the coaches have to roll with whoever they put out there. I mean, I think the proof's in the pudding when you actually look at how the lineups have looked a lot of these weeks. Main thing is it's not fun being a fan of this team right now, and that's really frustrating because you got guys like Orlando Scandrick talking, you got guys like Zach Brown talking, you have guys like Malcolm Jenkins talking, and there's like former players that are succeeding other places and they're throwing shade at Howie, and it's just a mess all around. I mean, it's not good, and you got guys like Chris Long saying that he'd rather play for the Jets right now than the Eagles, and that's just sad.
It's crazy that we've reached that point, man.
So guys, I want to ask you real quick, what's it going to take for Jeffrey Lurie to finally wake up and get rid of Harry Roseman?
I felt like we were really on our way to, we were really on our way to that, because I think what it takes is humiliation. I think that nobody wants to be humiliated here, and I think that with the struggles that Carson was having, if we were to just ride that Carson thing out for the rest of the year, Jalen Hurts never comes in. Say Jalen Hurts was never even drafted, and we're just riding this Carson thing out and just bottoming out, and we end up as even higher a draft pick than we have now with only 2 wins. I think then that would really. Exactly. 2-14. 2-14 is exactly what would wake Jeffrey Lurie up, and he would be forced to make the tough decision we all know that he has to make. Unfortunately, it seems that Jalen Hurts came out of nowhere to save the season and potentially save some jobs. So it's a shame. I
think I agree with humiliation. I think the biggest thing is if they do indeed trade Wentz, and he goes to a San Francisco, he goes to Indianapolis, or he goes to New England and goes to the playoffs and does something, and the Eagles are 6-10 or something. And and you really don't know if you need to get another quarterback if Hurts is not the thing, because I feel like Howie and Doug they're hitching their saddle onto Hurts now if they're moving on from Wentz. And if that project doesn't work out, that might be the thing that pushes Lurie over the edge to get rid of Howie.
Let's not talk about if.
It's scary to even know that New England's even being mentioned as one of the potentials to grab.
You think Belichick can't turn that man around?
Why not?
He's licking his chops right now, man. With the thought of it.
Yeah, I mean, let's not talk about
you guys have been coming at me with 41-33. It's going to be my turn.
Yeah, let's not talk about if. Let's talk about when, because ultimately, Carson Wentz is going to lead another playoff push for another organization, and it's going to come down to him beating our ass. Let's be honest here. For it to actually come full circle for Jeff Lurie, I think it's going to ultimately take a playoff appearance by the Philadelphia Eagles and a playoff appearance by whatever team Carson Wentz goes to, and him just beating the dog shit out of us.
And when
for
he
it to come
does,
full circle.
And when he does that, he's going to bring the old Corey Detmer out. He's going to be like, whoosh, whoosh. And I'm going to
y'all are
love
laughing.
it.
I'm dead serious.
I think it's going to be the fan base. You got to hit Larry where it hurts,
How do you mean?
and that's his pockets. Once he realizes he's putting a shitty product out there on the field and his pockets aren't as healthy as what they are, he's going to have to go back and reevaluate everything.
Eagles fans are way too loyal.
Yeah, we're Browns fans, but we're in a different city. We're loyal.
Well, I completely
Loyal
agree
to
with
soil,
you.
baby.
I would like to say that like, we could all collectively come to that decision. Say, you know, we're not going to buy any Eagles merchandise.
but
We're
we,
not
but,
buying
we, but
tickets.
we can't.
That's bullshit. You know, we're going to do it, especially once they say that you're allowed back in the stadium. You tell me that people aren't going to go.
Yeah,
I know. I've been through worse, and dude, I'll always be buying my Eagles gear. But I mean, some people may, jump ship and do things where they're going to hurt the pockets a little bit. But I agree with them but it should already be there with the season the way you had. And sure, Jalen Hurts coming in, that new quarterback energy we talked about, got us excited. So I think it blinded us to the fact that there are plenty of issues. And if Jeffrey Lurie doesn't see that, we're in big trouble because then our owner's a jackass.
I don't think this season is going to matter because in his mind, he's expected a negative hit on his pockets because of COVID. Because
and then I also think Jeffrey. Oh, go ahead, Marcus. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying, and then what is, and then just what is my fault? I'm in San Antonio for the holidays, so. But just saying, with no fans this year, he's already expecting that negative hit. But if we had no COVID fans in the stadium, and the ticket sales were how we wanted them, and then I guess how they say they were in the black, he's going to go to the organization. He's going to lose his shit because he's losing money.
I just got a call.
And then he lucked out. He looked out on the fans not booing the team out of the fucking link. Every week.
Think about that. He would have been hearing it this year. So
I could still see him losing money with people not re-signing for their season passes or. You know what I mean? Here they're going to end up. I could still see that happening.
I've been on that wait list for 5 years, man. Ain't nobody back.
What's 5 years compared to the 18 that I've been waiting?
I'm just saying, bro.
Season ticket holders.
Yeah, good luck. You're going to be there for a long time.
Cardboard.
Lurie's got to take. He's got to take. Roseman's cat.
Hello. Yo, I just got a call. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
From who?
A friend who's watching the show. Who's with a former player.
Oh God, here we go. Here we go.
Just spill the beans, son.
The stuff that person just told me, I was like, bruh.
Oh no!
Let's hear it, bro. Drop it.
You're not going to spill
it. You can't say that and not drop it.
It speaks to my New Year's resolution.
Save it for post game.
Making culture a priority.
Oh God.
A lot of stuff. Just the relationships between the wide receivers and Carson.
If y'all don't say who his connect was, I'm gonna ruin the end for power.
I'm just saying. Talking about some of the wide receivers.
We don't kiss and tell.
They said there was a lot of issues in practice on how the communication between Carson, Sean, and Alshon, and how they practice. There's certain ways that Carson wanted to practice it. Certain days that he didn't want to throw prior to game time. Just the communication.
He didn't.
And some of the other
quarterback. The other damn ball.
He didn't want to throw.
Look, just like they would want to practice. There's certain ways they wanted to practice, get ready, whether it be timing.
You practice the way the coach set up the practice. It's all about
but I'm like as a wide receiver. If you have a wide receiver and a quarterback, you have your own practice on the side. Like, and there would be times that he would not want to throw the football, and that would make the player. Well, I mean, Deshaun and
that goes back to coaching.
How long back does that go?
Offensive coordinator.
How long back does that go, Gail? Do you know when? Like, are they talking about like recently that's been happening, or this has been like a regular
it's been
thing?
Like an ongoing and some of them were saying just that relationship it's just not there with some of the wide receivers and Carson.
That's why Alshon caught that touchdown when Jalen came into the game.
And I think that kind of just like brings me to a point of like, did we create this image of what Carson Wentz is in our minds, and there's a different version of what is in reality?
I mean, this is what I just heard. That was like
the more
they don't have conversations.
Are you saying Carson is the equivalent of Anna Kendricks in person?
Yeah.
The person telling me was just like also
Exactly.
shocked by the news, and this is coming from former players that they have no reason to just say that there's a disconnect between. There's a culture issue in the locker room.
Now,
Carson,
while you don't need to spill the beans on the player exactly, can we get an era? Did they play together? Did they?
No, they played together.
Oh, they played together. Okay.
And I kind of think there is a culture issue in the locker room because that's what it looks like on the field.
God damn it! Chip tried to tell us about that.
From looking at this football team, it doesn't look like there's an issue in the locker room. Doesn't look like there's an issue with the front office.
So let me play devil's advocate here. Not to any of this. Is Carson Wentz a closet Terrell Owens? He's just not out in the media. He's just a diva in the locker room.
He's not an all-time great.
So. He hasn't deserved that.
Yeah. T.O.'s an all-time.
I'm saying with his antics.
Yeah, I think he's talking about his attitude if in the locker room.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that like T.O., when you ascend to be like a top 3 wide receiver of all time, I'm willing to put up with a little bit more diva type attitude than I am from a guy that isn't that.
Okay.
It's just so weird though, because you have guys like Torrey Smith, Chris Long, Miles Sanders, and you have other players on the team and Brandon Graham that are like defending Wentz, and like you have people that are like defensive players, offensive players, and then people who aren't even on the team anymore defending them, and then you have like the other shots coming from guys that aren't on the team anymore, and then you have guys like Alshon that you suspect are saying stuff. It's just so weird, man. Like I 100% think like some of the stuff's going on. I mean, Wentz is a guy that he's different. I mean, he comes from a different culture than a lot of these guys come from, and he's admitted that. I mean, he's this dude from North Dakota State living in a double wide trailer in college, and then he comes to Philadelphia, and it's a huge culture shock. But it's weird though, because you hear when people like him. Maybe Deshaun hates Christian Rat. That's probably a part of it. I mean, that the religion thing I never understood, because Holmes is as religious or more religious than Wentz. If you've ever read that dude's book, I thought I was reading the Bible for the first like 50 pages. Like that's why like the whole religion angle, and it's kind of a cheap shot. It's kind of weird too when people.
But it is what it is. Like it's an NFL locker room. There's a lot of
that clearly says that the locker room is obviously divided. There's guys that like Carson Wentz, and there's guys that don't like Carson Wentz.
Like the words that I just got are from 2 former players that had played with Wentz.
Now it's 2 former.
Who have
Once
not
again,
had
though,
with Wentz.
This all falls
like
back
they've had
on
2 conversations with Wentz. One other player, I'm not even formed, but it's
current,
who's never had a
Practice
conversation
squad.
with Wentz, who's actually a wide receiver, and it's an issue. It's not like a
big time.
It's like where they're coming from. It's an issue because like there's a disconnect. Like we never even have a conversation. And then we had the words about a couple weeks ago about the Golden Tate news.
Yeah, the Golden Tate.
What he was saying, and these are all different stories. There's like 4 or 5. I've heard this 6 different times from six different people.
Exactly.
About culture issues in the locker room.
And when those types of stories are coming from that many different sources, you have to like turn around and look yourself in the mirror and be like, are we defending a guy that is maybe there's some truth to what's being said? If this is coming from so many different sources, it certainly seems like there's some fire to this smoke.
Just like that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Our job is to like talk about this and like we don't normally get stuff like this.
Well, you guys remember that article that came out in the middle of the summer of 2018, where they were saying that
where he came out as
selfish. he thinks he's above everybody.
And
And
we all
again,
didn't believe that.
Coco
We
just
didn't believe
said,
that.
what if this guy has a T.O. diva attitude that nobody sees in the except for the guys in the locker room? And I know Prime isn't having any of it. I mean, come on.
Which I mean, honestly, you can't these are. I'm getting stories from different people, not even in the same camp.
This reminds me of a really bad high school relationship where two people that you thought were going to work out just fight constantly, and you hear rumors from everybody in the class, everybody in the same grade. You hear different stories from different classrooms about who's saying what and whatnot. This is ridiculous.
The other things that were talked about while I got on the phone were that some of these players were willing to take less money, play elsewhere because the environment was so bad up there.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
And Howie Roseman, it was because of Howie. They said the environment was so bad that they'd be willing to take less money to go elsewhere.
So is Jeff not listening to the players whatsoever? Because it sounds like it is a GM coach problem because Doug's not implementing a culture that is welcoming for outside people and for the new guys coming in. And Howie is creating a toxic. Are we low key with the behind the doors of what's really going on with the Washington football team?
What do you mean?
Like how Dan Snyder and all of them had all their problems put out there in the public, but we got those exact same issues going on, but we keep it behind doors?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. And I think that we were kind of looking at the mess that the Washington football team had. I remember when the season first started, just looking at Washington and thinking they might not win a game this year with where they're at. They were, just between the name thing, between everything. I remember there being some arrests happening, I think, at the beginning of the year as well. And I just remember thinking, this is such a dumpster fire of a team. That's one last thing we have to worry about. Well, lo and behold, here we are. They're playing to get into the playoffs, and we don't even have an opportunity tonight. So, we're the fools in this situation.
They're sitting there watching the show these motherfuckers been talking about us for 16 weeks. They're not even getting paid like us. Look at these.
Don't we and the Jets have the same record since 2017? Since after we won the Super Bowl, I think it's us and the Jets or us and the Browns are close to having the exact same record. But we hold ourselves to such a higher standard up here that we're not actually paying attention to what's going on.
Because those teams have made themselves the bottom of the barrel teams at the NFL. They've made themselves the butt of the joke every single season, and we're just used to seeing them down at the bottom. And now we have slowly, while we're pointing fingers and laughing, have slowly fallen back into that position where, I mean, we were not. I mean, we won the division last year, but we were just a couple games away from being, a shitty team. We snuck in. We were a bad division again last year. We haven't been a good football team as of the past couple seasons.
No, we're a shitty first half football team.
Yeah.
Gales. And to go on what you were talking about, I mean, my one friend, he's worked in the locker room for a while, and he says the thing with Carson Wentz is that my friend personally was scared to ever ask him anything, because he didn't say that he didn't seem approachable, but NFL quarterbacks are top tier. You don't want to talk to them if you think they're in their zone. And I think the thing with him is I do think that he's a nice guy from all accounts. I mean, when we met him, I said the thing is I feel like he could definitely rub someone the wrong way if he's not approaching you to go talk to you. Gail and I talked about how the one player, he's on the team and he's a receiver and on the offensive side of the ball, and he's never talked to him. That's weird. That's that's wrong. But and it's one of those things where
and Golden Tate said, I have never seen that ever happen. I've never seen that kind of situation on any teams he played.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm sitting here okay, I'm just sitting back and listening, and then you hear different conversations. And this one just happened. You're oh, I said I'm on a stream right now. Oh, this one's juicy though. I'm like, all right, how juicy. So, but it's just funny that you just keep on getting these.
Yeah,
and now
it's just weird, man.
When you start losing, and that comment by Daz, like, so tired of the rumors. When you lose, I said this like 7 weeks ago. I said we catch one more L, and people are gonna start talking.
Dude, there's
Like,
no way.
Everything, man.
Ever since then,
there's no way Carson's back next year, bro. There's no way.
Why would Carson feel like he's still above anybody?
I don't even think it's above. I think that it's just maybe it's just I don't know. Like, I think maybe because it didn't seem like, if you look at how he was in 2017 with like the chemistry with the entire team, because like even in high school, college, and especially the NFL, like there's the offense and then there's the defense. The 2017 year, the offense and defense were one team, and I think that's what really propelled them and kept them together. Because like you hear Malcolm Jenkins and Jalen Mills talking on the sideline during the Super Bowl, like, yeah, like Carson Wentz, like he's the next Ben Roethlisberger, blah blah blah. And then this year, it's like they're looking at this dude standing there with a headset on, and Jalen Hurts is in the game. So like, I just feel like the respect factor is not there, and maybe like. I mean, like, dude, when you get in your feelings, like Wentz probably is right now, like, you put your headphones on and you walk through the locker room and walk through the building, and I think he's probably standoffish right now. I mean, the young guys, they've never seen Carson Wentz playing well. They just see this, like, shell of himself right now. So, like, they're like, yo, this dude's not talking to me. Like, this is supposed to be my quarterback. And, like, he's probably, like, Wentz is probably, like, super, like, trying to, like, focus, trying to take care of his own shit. But at the same time, like, he should be being more of a mentor to these guys, and I think it's rubbing people off the wrong way, and I think that's why we are here where we are.
Do you think that Carson's mentality, and this might be an obvious question, like when Foles came in, we viewed Carson, we're looking at him on the sideline. You know how many times they panned over to him whenever Nick Foles made a play, and like it looked like he was super supportive. Do you think that like the difference between him being injured and that's the reason that he's out of the game, and him being like a healthy scratch, do you think he has brought like a less supportive role?
I don't think so, because he was on the sideline holding the iPad going over all the plays of Hurts last week. He's done it every week, and Hurts has said like he's helped him prepare, and like watching Carson over the offseason. I mean, you hear McCown talk about it last year, like no one prepares like Carson. You hear people on other teams say, not like Luke Kuechly was like admiring Carson Wentz for hearing how much he prepares for games. He's like, because Kuechly's like, dude, I'm obsessed with watching film. He goes, the only other person that prepares more for me in the league is Carson Wentz. I just think that when you're losing, everything is going to get put under a microscope. So if Carson is avoiding conversations with people, whether it be because he just like is trying to focus on his own shit, like it's going to come off in a bad way. I mean, It's just a bad situation, man. But I don't think that it has anything to do with him supporting, because if you watch when you're watching the games, he's next to Jalen the entire time, or he's next to Doug and he's talking to them. I just think it comes off selfish as him trying to like maybe take a step back from the team, because like he realizes it's not his team right now. It's Jalen Hurts' team.
Yeah.
He doesn't want another.
I think you and I talked about the fact that what's that?
I said he doesn't want another statue of another quarterback out front of the stadium. That's
I don't think the statue should bother him at all, dude. I think that this, if this is his problem, if it's his attitude, Gail, you talked about that certain player not being, any kind of contact with him. That's really, really not good. So it just seems that not everyone's into the Bible banger, 6 pound, 8 ounce baby Jesus stuff. And let's be real here, dude. He really seems to maybe push that stuff. And I think that it kind of pushes other players away. And I think that we're seeing it now. We all wanted to pretend that somebody is.
Turn it off.
Yeah, I just think that this is what it is. This guy just is not good with other people, and we're seeing it now. And that's scary as hell, because I thought he was a good person, but the stories just keep coming and keep coming, and it's.
I'm not going to sit here. That one would be.
I'm not going to sit here and judge the man. I'm just going to. I'm just.
Yeah, I know, but you and I talked about it. Like maybe there's just a disconnect where he doesn't show people the same respect if they don't have his beliefs and stuff. So I mean, I'm not.
I see someone in the comments like there's no reason for me to be saying what I'm saying if I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Like
Prime isn't
one
having
we
any
talk
of this right now. Look at him.
about.
Look at Prime.
Oh, so I understood what he said about Carson maybe pushing his religion on people, but when Tebow was playing and he was almost kind of doing the same thing, everybody loved Tebow, regardless of how he performed on the field. So I feel there's more to the story, and it's finally going to come out when Carson is finally traded, because now he can go ahead and, openly talk about what happened, because those are going to be the questions asked when he is traded on his first press conference.
But even then, he's not going to say anything, Marcus. I don't think he's the type of person that would just go out there and blatantly air out all the dirty laundry just because he's on another team. I think we're not going to get those answers till later down the road, not right away. If anything, we're going to hear it from the insiders that are in the Eagles locker room, that are the reporters and former players on other teams. Not Carson Wentz, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about that when that story dropped, right? When the whole Santa Luquito article dropped, you were like, "What? Are you sure?" Yo, the people were trying to run him off of Twitter, like run him out of town, like.
Dude, and it was out of left field. It was something that was so out of left field.
It was way before, like it was just out of like Evan said, out of left field, and people were like, "Yo, where did this come from?" And now we're here years later talking about the same shit, and people want to sit here and like act like it doesn't. I just told you what I told you, and this is separate from. This has been going on. So if people keep saying this shit, like I'm trying to sit here like, okay, I'm listening, but but they're from different people. It's not
all
the same person.
That's all I'm doing.
At what point is it like? At what point do you go, I want a hard reset? And just like...
Now would be the time.
Say what?
Now would be the time. You have a defensive coordinator that's going to sit out for a year and basically contemplate on retirement. And you have two coaches, or you have a head coach and a GM who have produced a negative product. Your head coach can't score in the second half of a football game, and your GM is giving you cap issues. While your roster is on the way of getting older, and you can go ahead and start getting young now, because let Washington and New York get some young stud talent that they're continuously growing with. They're going to be a powerhouse in the NFC East. So while they're still young and learning, let's go ahead and hop on that train too, so we can be not that far behind them.
Somebody vacuuming?
Is there a race going on outside someone's house?
I actually called for that hard reset on that second half of that Green Bay game when he got sat down.
Oh,
I mean, or the game that he got benched. I called for the hard reset.
Yeah, I just like in my heart of hearts, I'd hope that Wentz would come back here, take his position. It's his like I want him. You look at it. It was like, this is my position. This is my city. I'm gonna rock for my city, and we ride from there. But like from all that we've seen, and just like even the veterans players who played here, they're saying the same thing. Is like, yo, I don't know how you could go back from here. Like you made the decision. Like you made your bed, Howie. Now you sleep in it. Like if I'm Wentz, I'm looking at Howie like, bro, like I'll get out of here. I'll do my own thing. I'll be successful somewhere else. I don't want to do it under you. And I'd echo the same thing, because I don't feel like Howie is putting his players in a position to succeed.
Well,
So
he's not getting the right players to begin with.
Yeah,
I'd be frustrated. Like, how in the second round you don't give me another weapon? Or
Listen, call your peoples back. Ask her to get in touch. ask him or her to get in touch with Jeff Lurie, all right, and find out, like, how would you even allow this organization, one of the best fan bases in the league, how are you going to even allow the best? How are you even going to allow this organization to go through all this bullshit? All right, you're the owner of our team. You seeing all this shit in the media. You seeing all this shit on everywhere. Anywhere you go, you're hearing about it. How are you even allowing it? So
It's
you need
crazy.
to go. You need to go back to your goddamn office come tomorrow, and you need a clean house. That's
crazy.
it.
It's crazy
that
that
simple.
I'm echoing the same thing. I mean, if you're Jeffrey Lurie and you're looking at the situation, like you're running my shit into the ground. Like it's a difference between having new money and old money. New money knows how to continue that wealth, not spend frivolously. Make sure you're hitting on all your financials. New money.
I saw a comment earlier where somebody stated, I feel like, and I don't want to take this away from the person. I can't remember where I saw it, but I want to call in to the organization and I want to speak to a manager. You know, I want to be that. I want to be that.
Yo, Prime ready to go, Karen.
I want to be that guy. Yes, I want to be that guy to complain.
Karen.
I got a serious fucking complaint right now, and I don't want to speak to nobody but a fucking manager. All right, nobody.
Can you imagine being given, like if you're like you said, if you're Jeffrey Lurie and you've essentially given somebody this product to which it's been on the pedestal of winning, and then they just throw it in a litter box for the next 3 years.
I'm telling you, that's how new money works. I mean, people with new money go broke in like 4 or 5 years. You're like, yo, he won the lotto. How did he lose all the money? Because it's new money.
Yeah, I love this comment. So
that's why broke. That's why broke people shouldn't be playing the lotto anyways.
Yeah,
hey, Mexi, we've been in the lose. We're trying to get that draft pick, get the stock up, make sure someone else is making those final say on the draft picks. But yo, the conversation tonight has been like from all over the place because that's how the season's been. You can't pinpoint one terrible decision. I think you can pinpoint Howie Roseman as one person who's making some terrible decisions, but there's been a lot of drama the whole season. We've seen it from COVID started the season.
Giving up 17 points to Washington that first week, tying the Bengals.
Let's name off some of the issues that have been going on all season. How about Ertz contract issue?
Yeah,
Ertz, wanting to get paid like Kelsey, but performing like Greg Olsen, basically.
Playing Gary ahead of Singleton for like the first half of the year.
Okay.
Not moving Jalen Mills the corner when we had a chance to still make the playoffs.
Cutting Will Parks.
I was just about to say when we were already thin as it was.
Tore his ACL, and there's Will Parks somewhere not here.
Did we say sitting Mailata for weeks?
Sitting Mailata.
Re-signing Jason Peters.
Letting Jason Peters
and his big toe.
Paying Jason Peters more to play right tackle.
And what's the common denominator in all this? Howie Roseman.
My title says it right there. He blows.
Howie doesn't prevent Miles Sanders from getting 5 carries a game.
We let Jason Peters strong arm us into a contract renegotiation to get his money and to sit down for 7 weeks to get that money.
He's like, I didn't know you want me to play tackle. Oh, wow.
Yo, my big toe wants $1 million per game. Okay.
Oh, you want me to play guard? That's going to be an extra couple.
I mean,
Brandon Brooks going down.
Brandon Brooks tore his ACL or his Achilles.
Yep. I mean, going away from when Alshon came back and all of a sudden Travis was forgotten.
Yeah.
Didn't make no sense.
Keeping Greg Ward to return kicks instead of putting Rager back there.
Yep.
JJ is still on the roster.
Not just taking points when you can take points versus teams that you need to score against.
Yo, how about since you're a kicker, kickers are people too?
Of course.
How about the kicker?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
I don't even say his name anymore. I just say kicker now.
Yes. Yeah.
Then the guy can get rid of him.
Well, isn't his contract like $27 million?
If we get rid of him, it's $9 million in dead cap if we get rid of him this offseason.
God damn it, Jacob.
Howie signed that deal.
AJ says Lane going out again.
Carson.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Lane's his injury is there's some concerns about his injury recurring.
Like Paul said, not using
Miles getting I forgot what game it was. Miles was at like 6 yards to clip in the first half,
Deshaun
Jackson
teasing us all season.
Remember he said, get your popcorn ready. I didn't know it was for the drama, the reality show.
Yeah, that wasn't the wildest thing he said.
Just be careful, his mom will come for you on the timeline.
That's all right. I got nothing but love for Mama. You know what I mean? And my son I support D Jack. All right, but I mean, you still teased us, bro. All right, you teased us. I mean, I'm one to always vouch for you, and you tease us. I'm done. I'm tired of it, man.
He teases with the touchdown.
Hey, Prime.
And then so done. All right, I'm good.
Prime, with all these complaints, these complaints that you have, and you call NovaCare tomorrow, they're gonna leave you on hold for like 3 hours.
As long as I get through to somebody, I don't give a fuck.
They're gonna have Fly Eagle fly on a loop.
Matter of fact, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna let loose on the first person that answers the phone. I'm gonna just get it out of the way because somebody's gonna eventually hear.
You're gonna be the mascot, dude.
I'm just an intern. I'm just a fucking intern.
Hey, did you guys see Mike's shout out to Mike? His nickname for Jake Elliott.
Wow, nice.
Where's the shirt? Where's the shirts?
Wow.
He can get a 63-yarder like 3 years ago. Like it was not like, and now he's struggling on 20-yard kicks.
That was the old Jake. This is the new Jake.
Just as Jason Peters threatened to sit on him, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
He shook him down before. He's like, no more misses. He thought he was gonna fucking die.
Joyce was signing D-Jack.
So let me throw this out there. What if we like, as if we haven't been shocked so many times this year? We haven't seen Tutty Suddy in I don't know how long, right? What if he goes out and shows us something in the second half of the night? It's like, fuck these guys. I'm winning
both of them then. Man. Quarterback factory.
Quarterback factory, exactly.
Around.
Y'all want to?
They're like, yo, Nate, stop!
That's going to
stop stunting on him.
That's going to be the.
Dude, Barkley threw a touchdown today. We're bringing him back next year. I can't wait.
No, the Eagles can't be on Hard Knocks because
Evan, I think didn't that one play of 2 years ago where we needed to beat Washington? Didn't he go in there for one play and like just throw a touchdown on a screen play?
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
One play and he threw a touchdown pass. So you could be right.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm joking. I'm saying this tongue in cheek right now. But they did used to speak highly about the dude, man. Before Jalen Hurts was in the building, they spoke very highly about Tutty.
Yeah, they were asking for Tutty Suddy at times.
Yeah.
All right.
Flashes,
come on.
man.
Where are those people? They were asking for Tutty Suddy at times. Come on.
That's why it just looks like such an idiot with the quarterback factory bullshit. Because you have Clayton Thorson and then you keep Sudfeld. People wanted to start Sudfeld instead of Foles in the playoffs. And then you have no faith in Sudfeld. Sudfeld has never touched the field for us.
Yeah.
Joyce said the last chance you.
How long that's the last chance?
Instead of Hard Knocks will be
how long was Thorson in the building?
No chance.
How long did we have Thorson on the team officially?
I think like 12.
He was on the Cowboys after what, 3 months?
Yeah.
Tell us about the playbook. Tell us about the playbook, bro.
Yeah, that's all he was brought in for. Like,
What is he on the Giants now?
Dude, I swear he cut down my Christmas tree.
He's doing the NFC East tour.
Hey, so we got 15 minutes away from one of the most important games of our lifetime. I haven't heard one person talk about anything about this game. Not one person for a week.
Let's just pray Chase Young does not kill Jalen Hurts.
Oh God, please.
So everyone's just we're just trying to figure out where we draft.
If we lose, what do we get? Fifth, I think. Fifth,
sixth. I think we're in sixth.
We're at 6 right now.
We're at 6 right now. We're just going more and more down.
Oh, there's a game tonight. Yes, Mike, there is a game tonight. Shout out to Bruce. He says preseason only. I can feel those vibes, man. This game has total preseason vibes. We got players playing that we've elevated Osman. We got Prince Tega Wanahoagie from the practice squad.
Damn, I want a hoagie, man.
Blake Countess.
We're gonna have Huntley as well, I believe, right? activated?
Wow, y'all better endorse that man.
We
Yeah,
don't even
seriously.
have Jaquette, dude. Like,
We
thank
have Nick
God.
Roby COVID.
Wait, Jaquette couldn't cover his shift at the tire sales tonight?
Nope. No. He went back to the tires, bro. He went back to the tires.
I felt so bad for Jacket for him to come in the game, put his helmet on, and they said, "All right, now go cover him." He got toasted.
No, it wasn't even that. It was, hey, go cover him, and we're not going to give you any help.
Yeah, you one-on-one coverage, all you.
The safety is not on top. We're playing cover 0.
You're like, Jim Schwartz will probably be like, Michael Gallup, you got him, man.
Yeah.
It always brings up a great point. Imagine if we get another tie, dude.
Oh.
Imagine we get another tie. Can't even
What
do
happened?
that.
I think
Yeah, why you have to say something foolish like that, man?
Let's do it.
Let's
do it.
You can't even lose right, bruh.
You didn't have to put that on the
You're
screen.
dying.
You could have easily just scrolled over that comment. Why you had to do that?
Let's get that tie.
AJ likes Wanahoagie. Wanahoagie's I've been waiting for him to get on the field all season long. So that's something. Hey, that's something to look at.
Hey, Blake Countess has been with the Phillies, with the Eagles for so long. He was, what was he, a draft pick, and he finally now get to play actual like regular.
Well, he was on the
game.
He was on the Rams for a little bit, then he just came back.
Yeah.
6 overall. Yeah, Miami has Houston's pick, so they could go wide receiver to help Tua or offensive line.
They'll go O-line.
Yo, do you guys think J-Jaw does anything tonight?
Oh, I forgot.
J-Naw.
Respect on J-Jaw. No, because we should see and Richard Rodgers and Goddard are both out. So it's literally the Ertz farewell tour.
Yo, it's murder ball.
Who's suiting
I
up
think
tonight?
what was it? It's probably Kroom, Ertz, J-Jaw, Rager, Hightower, maybe. I guess probably Hightower, Quez, David Akers, and Rendell's playing right guard. Like,
imagine if you're an Eagles player and you're suiting up tonight and you're like, what does that say about me? Like, what do y'all think of me? Like, why am I playing this game? Like, why do I need to be like Hurts is being put in a situation where it's totally not fair. Like, again, we talk about setting our players up to succeed. This situation where you're not giving him someone to, he's got some guys who it's their first time getting some NFL snaps blocking for him.
Is Goddard playing?
No, I don't think he is.
No.
I'm not sure he cracked over the middle.
Yeah, I don't want this.
Is it his birthday?
It's the Ertz farewell tour. They benched all the other tight ends so Ertz can have a farewell tour. He's going to go 10 for 10. 10 for 10 yards. It's going to be fun.
He's on the phone right now with Goodell asking permission for Doug Peterson to suit up at quarterback.
Yo, he deserves to go against Chase Young for some of the shit he pulled this year, bro.
Bro, they had 8 sacks the last time they played us. They're about to have 20.
Dude, they Brett Toth and Pryor starting.
Richard Pryor.
Why is Pryor?
No, isn't Prince starting over him?
No, I'm pretty sure they said Pryor starting.
No, Pryor.
What's the over/under for Pryor and penalties?
So,
why is he here?
That's a good question. So, like, I'm looking at this right now, and I'm just thinking about a point that me and Gail have been touching on. So, with all of these starters being taken out, I don't anticipate on us scoring very much tonight. Are we going to see? Is this going to be an entire season? We don't touch 30 the entire year. We'd have to score 30 points tonight in order for that to happen. We haven't scored 30 points in a single game.
We got to score those in the first half. If not, whatever the score is in the first half, that's the score for the remainder of the game.
We're the only team in the NFL besides the New York Jets who have not scored 30 points.
Oh,
you tell me there's no problems with our offense? None?
Pathetic, man. Pathetic.
Because I made mention of, like, we talk about, Jim Schwartz had his issues, man, but the offensive side of the ball and what Howie's done and the players they put, those are the issues right now.
It's not even that. Duck can't make no adjustment after halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, we come out slow.
That Prime should shoot up. I wouldn't even let Prime get hurt out there tonight. I was like, you are not risking one of my guys to get hurt out there tonight.
Prime would get like ejected from just like he's so angry. He has all the energy of all of us combined. Like Alex Smith would need like 20 more surgeries. You put Prime at D line, it's over, bro.
He's still on hold though. He can't.
You imagine we end up.
I would probably hit Doug Peterson out of bounds.
You imagine we end up seeing some Ertz yak tonight? Like we see him break a few tackles. That would be like Cole Hamels throwing the no-hitter right in his last game.
Yeah.
The same exactly. Like, where was this, bro? Where was this your entire
Prime versus Predator, yeah.
Could you imagine?
At least us Eagle fans, we could laugh at this moment. I mean, outside of football right now, life is tough. So
yeah.
I think we're just having these moments of like, it's a rough situation. Well, at least we can laugh at it, and hopefully we get better. That's where you got to be at, man. One thing I always mention: make sure you call your people, man. Mental health is important. It is what it is, man. A lot of people going through a lot of hard things, but at least Eagle fans can come together, chop it up. We're not winning the Super Bowl this year, unfortunately. Shout out to the teams. If we're talking about teams making the Super Bowl, who are we looking at?
Bills.
Yes.
Tampa.
Yo, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Bills, bro.
They put up 56
Bills winning the
with Barkley
AFC
playing the second half.
game. Go to the Super Bowl. I'm digging it.
Nobody wants to be Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers?
No.
That's what I was going to say, Gail.
It might be that.
It's going to be Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers.
Come on. I mean, Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers, that's like a moneymaker, yo.
Dude, State Farm is going to make so much
State
money.
Farm Super Bowl.
I don't want State Farm to make that much money, though. That's
Josh Allen versus Brady in Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Mike says KC.
Yo, Brady's on fire right now, man.
He is playing really well.
Make sure we
His
shout out
stats are
our
crazy.
fellow Swedes in the chat.
Yo,
Shout out to, Daniel from Sweden.
what's up, Daniel? How you doing, man?
He said it was like 3
Fourth
a.m.
and John went global this year. We always go global, but this year I think we were more global than usual.
I think
Yeah, interaction on the internet.
Yo,
I
Yeah,
know
y'all fellas are on an international level now.
Soko just mentioned a video of how everybody's out there showing love to Kelsey. So this might be it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Is this trade bait for him, or is his contract up?
No, hey.
No, he would just retire.
He was talking about it last year. He decided.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Ertz. I'm talking about Ertz.
No. This is Kelsey. I'm sorry. We're talking about Kelsey.
I heard that this is Kelsey's last name.
Mm.
That's what I heard.
Another successful group therapy session, guys.
Daniel says game starts at 2:15 in his 2:15 a.m.
Yeah, he's in 2:15 a.m.
Wow.
Hey, so game starts at 8:20, right?
Yes, sir.
5 minutes.
We want to do last word on the birds.
Surely.
Let's
this
go
last
for that.
word on the birds.
Let's go for that tie.
Last
word. 4-10-2. Hey, it's been a first for everything this past year, so why not do it this way? You know what I mean? I'm with it. Does that still make Washington the division champs?
Yeah.
Yes.
They are already champs anyway because Dallas lost.
All right, but listen, all bullshit aside.
No, Giants could still win it, can't they?
Giants could still win it. But all bullshit aside, Alex Smith, mad props to you for coming back the way you did after that serious ass injury. So if you pull this one off against us, I'm actually okay with it, man, because of the fact that what you've been through. But other than that, I'm just glad Dallas is sitting in the seat. Shout out to my brother. I love you. Hey, y'all ass, just like that. High hopes, bro, came to an end. But hey, listen, I'm gonna be there. I'm in section 121 tonight. All right, so keep an eye out for Prime. He's in the back. He's gonna be talking shit to Washington, even though they're gonna probably spank us. But I'm gonna get a couple words in there. I wish I was on our side because I would definitely find a way to go ahead and talk shit to all of us. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
I mean, it is what it is. We want to beat Washington. It'd feel good to beat Washington. But even if we didn't, like Prime said, they should really just rename the Comeback Player of the Year award and just name it the Alex Smith Award. Because if he goes out there and starts dealing dots to us, I'm not going to be upset. It is what it is. I respect that young man. Now, Matt Pryor, I'm going to need you to step your game up because Chase Young coming for some heads tonight. That's all I got.
Last word on the Birds. Well, this year hasn't gone as planned, but go out there for the guys that are trying to get some tape on themselves. Try not to do good, but we need this draft pick, guys. I'm just playing, guys. No, seriously. I don't even know what to say. I'm just kind of. It's been a long year, and just go out there and just fucking try not to get hurt.
Last word on the Birds. I just want to evaluate the talent we have so I can at least be optimistic for next season. So having these young guys and these practice squad players play will at least give me some optimism for next year, hopefully. And like everybody said, with Alex Smith and that injury and coming back, I would not be upset if he actually massacred us today. But, hey, I've made many of relationships with the Eagles, being a fan. Kudos to Puga and y'all for y'all fellas allowing me to chat with y'all on here. But let's just watch this game, man. Go Birds.
Howie Roseman, this is a draft board.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever seen one before, but these are some players. Screenshot it. Get one of your interns to write it down. Because these are the people. They got Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, and anyone else that's not a fucking bust. I mean, honestly, it's a dark place, boys. I mean, we went from
not a quarterback list on there.
Well, oh, dude, I can't even. If we take, I joked a month ago saying if we take Trey Lance from North Dakota State, that would be the last straw. That like that scene in SpongeBob when his brain snaps off. That would be me. But yeah, my whole thing is, we didn't think we were gonna have a season. We ended up getting more depression, more questions about this team. I'm thankful for you guys. I hope everyone watching has a happy new year. Leaves a lot of the bullshit in 2020. And how we clean some things up. Hopefully Lori smacks some people around on Tuesday. And let's get a better pick tonight.
Yeah, so we have reached the end of the road, fellas. This year we were, everyone has talked about what a weird year this has been, and we were looking for the Eagles to be our guiding light, our sort of escape from all of the misery we're facing this year, and they weren't that. They were the complete opposite. They just added and compiled depression into us, and it sucks. But, the one thing to look forward to is we have another season next year. There's always hope in what we can turn things around. As for the Eagles players themselves, ain't none of you guys deserve that WAP this offseason. I hope you guys all go dry. Go fuck yourselves. And I'm in a weird place right now because I think that I kind of know what needs to happen in order for this team to turn things around. That being moving on from the head coach, moving on from the GM. I don't think those things are going to happen. So who knows where we'll be next year, but we'll be here. And I just want to thank everybody, Marcus, Puga, David, everybody who's jumped on this year. We really appreciate you guys jumping on and being a part of Eagles Kickoff Live. Hopefully next year we can do this in person. Go Birds.
Last word on the Birds. Just want to echo, Evan's or Hollywood. Sorry, Evan Hollywood Hearn statement. I just appreciate all the people that have been supportive, Force and John, all the guys that have been frequently on the shows week after week, in the comments, in the chats, even the haters. Everybody's welcome. It's all about talking about the Birds. That's all we do here as crazy Eagle fans. But at the end of the day, it's all about the Eagles and getting dubs and getting back to what we want to be doing as fans, watching Super Bowls, watching games live, and being there and being a part of the whole experience. But it is what it is. We made the best of it, and this is what has come. We made a lot of great friends, and we'll continue to make good friends and make good memories. But no one's excited to watch this game. We're about to watch this game. We'll be talking about it on Eagles Post Game Live here. Will be our final podcast of the regular season.
Yep.
We're going to continue this draft conversation. We're going to talk about picks that we want. We're going to talk about free agency. We're just going to talk about a little bit of everything. So the conversation doesn't stop today. We'll be here after the game talking about that post game hell. Yes. But for now, for the rest of the guys, we'll see you guys soon.
Happy New Year.
And fly, Eagles, fly.